Mass at a Catholic school in Minneapolis. Fox's Jill Nato.
Investigators have been poring over the writings of the now dead shooter who committed suicide after opening fire. Minneapolis Police Chief Brad O'Hara told a news conference so far they found that the shooter
had some deranged fascination with previous mass shootings.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota, Joe Thompson, says that wasn't the only obsession.
More than anything, the shooter wanted to kill children. Defenseless children.
Investigators say they've been trying to speak to the shooter's mother with no luck yet. Meanwhile, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is sending state resources to strengthen security around Minneapolis schools and places of worship. Jill Nato, Fox News.
America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
The Trump administration is reportedly working to stage ICE agents at a military base near Chicago after President Trump threatened to send the National Guard to the city to respond to crime. WFLD Fox 32 Chicago's Paris Schutz has the latest.
The president's border czar, Tom Homan, confirms that a local military base will be used for ICE operations.
I know, but I'm not going to say it. We're not going to tell you how many resources we're going to send to the city. We don't want the bad guy to know what we're sending. It'll be a large contingent.
So the plan is to send this to the Great Lakes Naval Station about an hour north of Chicago. A base spokesperson has confirmed that the Trump administration has requested, quote, limited support for DHS operations from September 2nd through the 30th. Now, Superintendent Snelling also stressing that his officers will not assist ICE agents who attempt to conduct raids, nor will Chicago cops ask for the immigration status of crime victims or anyone seeking help.
Homicides in California dropped last year to the second lowest levels since 1966, and crime-fighting efforts are ramping up in California. Fox's Christina Coleman is the latest from Los Angeles.
Well, Governor Gavin Newsom criticizes President Trump for deploying the National Guard to D.C. Newsom announced his own deployment to fight crime. He says he's expanding the deployment of California Highway Patrol officers to cities, building on existing crime-fighting efforts statewide. Newsom claims his announcement is not in reaction to the president. Well, some of his critics just aren't buying that, and they say his announcement and all of his mocking of President Donald Trump online is not enough to help the Democrats. California sued the Trump administration over its deployment of the National Guard and the Marines to L.A. in June. A judge is set to rule on the legality of that move.
And the Treasury Department is calling on U.S. financial institutions to monitor for suspected Chinese money laundering networks. An advisory went out Thursday to banks, brokers, and others, asking banks to flag customers who fit a profile. I'm Sue Guzman. This is Fox News.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Chicagoland traffic. The Ike, the Stevenson, the dreaded 294. You sitting in traffic is not time well spent. Time is money.
Oh, come on, man. What's the slowdown for?
Especially when you're trying to do your own company deliveries.
What is happening up there? I got things to deliver.
But instead of sitting there getting more and more frustrated,
please, can we go any slower?
You could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get Quick Delivery Service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick Delivery Service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244 or go to quickdelivery.com.
I'm Ben Barzita.
And I'm Matt Nadeau, founding partners of Barzita and Nadeau Wealth Management. And after more than a decade on the air, we're excited to be back with our brand new show, Money Hour Radio.
Tune in every Saturday at 1 p.m. on AM 560 as we break down retirement planning, market trends, tax reduction strategies, and our Advance and Protect investment approach.
It's sophisticated planning, independent analysis, and trusted guidance backed by over 40 years of combined experience.
Join us for Money Hour Radio, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees a great move from the president.
And so Trump is trying to figure out a way that we can defy history and retain the majority of Republican members in this midterm when historically the presidential party loses seats in the midterm. So Trump's trying to reverse that and thinking outside the box. I'm impressed. And the shoe on the other foot, certainly the Democrats will be doing the same thing.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's August 29th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today's Individual Rights Day, honoring English professor John Locke, whose writings argued for the rights of every person. Also on this day in 2005, Hurricane Katrina collides with the Gulf Coast as a Category 4 storm, killing well over 1,000 people, leaving $150 billion in damages to both private property and public infrastructure. 1 million people were displaced by the disaster, a phenomenon unseen in the United States since the Great Depression. Some 150,000 did not want to or did not have the resources to leave New Orleans, which was battered by 145-mile-per-hour winds and a storm surge flooding 80% of the city. Codename First Lightning, the Soviet Union explodes its first atomic bomb in 1949. Born on this day, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Are you prepared for the Illinois state tax? If your state is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terrace 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terrace 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect, finished to impress.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings, and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, your deck. The stage for your best moments and everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech. the Clean and Seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Jenny McGuire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny McGuire.
An informed and educated citizenry is the only guarantee to preserve our constitutional republic. And each week, you'll hear from experts, not pundits, and find out what's really happening, from local issues to national politics. Listen to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. There's no topic of public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow looks mostly sunny and pleasant, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend with a high of 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here in the aftermath of the horrible shooting at Annunciation School Church in Minneapolis yesterday. We heard from law enforcement, but before we get to law enforcement and what additional information has been obtained about the shooter, let's start with the victims. Because yesterday, the father of 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel, the 8-year-old, one of the two children that was killed in that mass shooting at Annunciation School Church, Fletcher's dad spoke yesterday.
A coward decided to take our 8-year-old son Fletcher away from us. Because of their actions, we will never be allowed to hold him, talk to him, play with him, and watch him grow into the wonderful young man he was on the path to becoming. Fletcher loved his family, friends, fishing, cooking, and any sport that he was allowed to play. While the hole in our hearts and lives will never be filled, I hope that in time our family can find healing. I pray that the other victim's family can find some semblance of the same. I'm hopeful that all the wounded are able to make a full recovery and return home to their families. And finally, all the people, and especially the children, impacted by this horrific event are able to recover mentally and find strength to live loving, happy, and full lives. Over the past day, I've heard many stories accounting the swift and heroic actions of children and adults alike from inside the church. Without these people and their selfless actions, this could have been a tragedy of many magnitudes more. For these people, I'm thankful. Moving forward, we ask not for your sympathy, but your empathy. As our family and the Annunciation community grieve and try to make sense of such a senseless act of violence. Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us.
Pretty together statement considering how soon after his son's murder that occurred. So on to law enforcement. What do we know? Could this have been prevented? Were there red flags, so to speak, that should have been seen and acted upon? The police chief in Minneapolis, Brian O'Hara, spoke yesterday at a press conference. He said there is nothing in the investigation so far that would lead us to believe that anything was missed. The shooter did not have a track record. There was no indication, according to O'Hara, that he suffered from mental illness. Well, there is an indication, but okay. And then other than a traffic ticket, he did not have a police record. But there are some other problems. One of the problems is mom is not cooperating with authorities.
So the question was, have we spoken to the shooter's parents and if there were any red flags that may have been missed? I know there were dozens of interviews that have been conducted with relatives, friends, associates of the shooter, as well as people, obviously individuals, witnesses that were present at the scene yesterday. I know we have not been successful in talking to the shooter's mother yet at this time, but there continue to be efforts made to get that done.
Mm-hmm. And at the time of the press conference, he wasn't sure if dad had been spoken with either. Well, we know why mom hasn't spoken is because she lawyered up. Her attorney, Ryan Gary, criminal defense attorney, said she is completely distraught about the situation and has no culpability, but is seeking an attorney to deal with calls like this from the press. Well, there are some unanswered questions. I mean, certainly you want to talk to the parents and what they saw and what they knew, and maybe there's some legal exposure, but there's also this. While investigators say there were no red flags, more than 7 years before the shooter opened fire on that Catholic school as Mass was underway, more than 7 years prior to the mass shooting, police were called to a townhouse in the Twin Cities suburb where mom lived with the shooter. NBC News, the heavily redacted police report NBC News obtained from the police department in Eagan, Minnesota, January 26, 2018. It includes a 2-word description of why an officer was dispatched to that address. The 2 words, mental health. But Chief just said there was no indication of mental illness. Well, so we need a little bit more context here. The brief synopsis on the report: assisted Mendota Heights with a check welfare of a juvenile. Mendota Heights, right, another suburb there. The name of the juvenile and exactly what prompted police to be summoned to the home on that date back in January of 2018 were redacted from the report. 2 years before the mental health call, police responded to a report of a quote-unquote criminal offense at the same residence, according to another police report. But beyond noting the case was closed, the report redacts all the other details describing the event. So we have 2 police calls to the residence. We have one that's a mental health check on a juvenile. This is about the time that he formally identified as a woman with the help of mom. So I can understand. I mean, you want to be somewhat considerate of the parents, assuming that there was no culpability, although there are questions about it. And I can understand to an extent why she would be afraid, mom I'm talking about, would be afraid to navigate all of this by herself. But, there needs, of course, obviously, and there has to be cooperation at some point. And I assume that police will stick on this. And then the knowledge now of these 2 police responses to the residence where the kid lived with the mom, well, that's going to require, more detail and more processing. Coming up at 5:38, we'll continue on this because I want to fold in something that RFK Jr. had to say about this amid the expected calls from leftists to ban weapons. We'll do that at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The head of the CDC is out, officially fired by the White House.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the decision.
It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission.
HHS announced that Susan Menares was no longer the agency's director on Wednesday, and at first she refused to leave the post. Her lawyer said it was due to her being a person of integrity and devoted to science, while also adding she was targeted after clashing with HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over vaccine policy. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The TSA says it will screen more than 17 million people during the Labor Day travel period.
The travel period runs through September 4th, with the peak travel day expected to be Saturday, August 30th. The TSA expects this to be the busiest Labor Day travel period on record, as the agency anticipates passenger volumes to be 8.5% higher than last year. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The Labor Day travel period is underway. According to AAA, the best times to drive to and from your Labor Day destination are today before noon, Saturday between 6 and 10 a.m., Sunday before 11 a.m., and Monday before noon. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now,
Charlie Kirk says we need to tread lightly.
I would introduce some caution here about trying to indict Obama. Of course, I think he probably deserves it. But remember, Obama still remains very popular amongst the American people. You could potentially create a political martyr. However, I think indicting Brennan and Comey, who are the operators here, we want this case to be ironclad. If you indict them and this fails, it's worse than never even trying.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and pleasant weather, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend. The high temperature will be 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Amid all of the quotidian responses to the mass shooting at the Annunciation School Church in Minneapolis, mainly from the left, with their scolding us to not talk about the identity of the shooter because it's part of their coalition. And, of course, calling for the banning of guns. There's something that we talked about yesterday at the end of the show with retired FBI criminal profiler Jim Fitzgerald that I thought, if it's been said before or suggested before, it hasn't gotten much air. And it hasn't been a significant part of the conversation, but I think it should be. And RFK Jr. advanced it yesterday. What Fitzgerald said is, now is the time, perhaps, to do a profile not on the shooter in Minneapolis because he's deceased, so that's over. But using him to profile a certain segment of society that may be more prone to this sort of unspeakable violence. And what he said is, I want to see the autopsy on this guy. I want to see the sort of the physiology of his brain. I want to go back in time and understand what, if any, drugs he was taking. And thinking about the same thing with other such incidents. This is Jim Fitzgerald now, criminal profiler who was made famous by his profiling of the Unabomber, ultimately leading to his capture after so many years on the lam. Saying for this type of person, I think it's fair to say he was talking about the gender dysphoric person. Let's look at the complete history to see if there is a certain profile that you could establish to work off of if you're somebody in that business working for the FBI on a go-forward basis. And that's sort of what RFK was getting at, RFK Jr., yesterday when he, sort of dismissed the customary talk about guns and kept his Maha hat on and said, maybe we should start looking at psychiatric drugs and the regimen of psychiatric drugs some of these people are on or were on, how that impacted their mental health. Does it expose some people to a heightened possibility of grotesque violence?
I certainly consider mass shootings a health crisis, and we are doing for the first time real studies to find out what the etiology of that is. And we're looking for the first time at psychiatric drugs. These kind of mass shooting, people have had guns in this country forever. When I was a kid, we had shooting clubs at our school. Kids, my classmates, and other people would bring a .22 rifle with their guns to school and park it in the parking lot. Nobody was shooting. So there's never been a time in America, in the history of humanity, and people walked into a crowd, into a church or a movie theater or a school or a crowd of strangers and just started randomly shooting. It's happening in our country. It's not happening around the world. And there are many other countries that have comparable levels of guns that we have in this country. We had comparable levels in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and people weren't doing that. Something changed, and it dramatically changed human behavior. And one of the culprits we need to examine is whether the fact that we are the most over-medicated nation in the world, and that a lot of those are psychiatric drugs that have black box warnings on them that warn of suicidal and homicidal ideation. So we are doing those studies right now for the first time, and we will have an answer.
Well, that'll certainly help advance what Jim Fitzgerald was saying about profiling. And this is not profiling with the negative connotation of the word. I was racially profiled. This is profiling in the sense of trying to build a composite where you perhaps you draw conclusions that, for example, if somebody is gender dysphoric and or on this regimen of psychiatric drugs, then, for example, you cannot legally purchase a weapon. Like this individual in Minneapolis was able to purchase the weapons that he used legally. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Get your reactions to that to focus on the prescription drug usage. I mean, before COVID, there was all sorts of documentaries about the therapeutic culture in America and the increasing percentage of young people on mood-altering drugs. Exactly what RFK Jr. is talking about. And now we're returning to that. We're turning our attention to that. I think that's probably warranted, don't you? Neil in LaGrange on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, Dan. It kind of pivoted a little bit now after listening to what RFK said, but my original call was there was the clip, an audio clip from the lieutenant governor. I don't know if you've played that or where I heard that, but, what a loon she is. And she said that to be good parents, we have to listen to our kids and what they're telling us and then, essentially do what the kids are telling us so we could be good parents.
Yeah, the children shall lead us, kind of.
That's right. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and the other thing too is about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I was on our local school board, and there was something that came up where it wasn't about guns in schools. It was the topic was, should local control or local decisions be made if there should be guns, or where staff could be trained to protect the school? Because you go south of I-80, what's response times? 20 minutes, 30 minutes sometimes. And that was something else that I didn't hear about. How long did it take for everybody to respond once the shooting started, for the police to show up it's a tragedy, but I think one of the things that we need to start talking about is how you protect all these soft targets.
Well,
I know our local school district spend tens of thousands of dollars changing, our entrances. So, there's, there at the Sally Port or double entrances, and really beefing up our school. But
hardening the target. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Neil. I agree. I mean, that has been talked about actually quite a bit. I would argue. I think the idea of arming teachers or security people, arming teachers, per going through a CCW class or what have you. I mean, this has been discussed at some length and has actually been incorporated in some states. Chris on the Dan Ryan.
Hey, Dan, good morning. Yeah, you know what? I could be wrong on this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Minnesota have like a very, very, very stringent red flag law right now that Moofbag signed last year?
They do have a red flag law. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why didn't this work? That's my only question. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for the call. Well, right. I mean, the red flag law requires a parent for a minor or someone to move in a court of law to have a person's Second Amendment rights restricted because they pose a public safety threat. And so this is one of the questions for mom and dad of the shooter is 2 police calls to the house. He is identifying as a girl, and of course you affirm that. Mom did. She signed the paperwork. And then, all of the other, everything that was scrawled on the weapons, his antipathy towards Catholics, Jews, blacks, Latinos, his celebration of school shooters. I mean, all this was inscribed on his weapons, ostensibly by him. No signs of this? No indications? He has a manifesto, portions of which have leaked out. Didn't get any wind of this. Huh. And then after he graduated from Annunciation School, the grade school, then he went to a charter school, and then he transferred from the charter school to a private all-boys school. What was going on there? I mean, those are the sorts of questions I think we want to get answers to. Just on the matter, because we're inevitably going to have to fold in the gun discussion. Good piece by John Lott and Thomas Massey in the Journal. Another mass shooting in a gun-free zone. In his manifesto, the Minneapolis shooter, I recently heard a rumor that James Holmes, the Aurora Theater shooter, may have chosen venues that were gun-free zones. I would probably aim the same way. Holmes wanted to make sure his victims would be unarmed. That's why I and many others like schools so much. At least for me, I'm focused on them. Adam Lanza is my reason. Adam Lanza was and I hate to say his name, but this is reading from the manifesto. He was the individual who killed all those kids at Sandy Hook. No indications of any of this going down with this guy? Was he on any psychiatric drugs? Andy on I-80.
Yeah, Dan, I think you're on. Oh, good morning, and thanks for having me on. You're on the right track. I think everybody's on the right track. We're intelligent enough to see that there is a dramatic change out there within a few years. And the reality then becomes, why do they go after gun license instead of medical license? You know it's out there. This is either psychological or chemical, or there is a portion of that involved, and they're not doing their end of the equation, so go after a medical license.
Thanks for the call, Andy. Yeah, I mean, RFK Jr. mentioned in his comments, I'm old enough to remember we had gun clubs in schools. I'm sure a lot of you listening are as well. And then, and then there's the cultural piece of this too, just our nihilistic culture, but everybody's exposed to that. So it's not really a distinguishing factor. It's more just of a contributing one to people that are already on the margins of sanity, criminality, something demonic. Daniel in Algonquin.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. Every time we try and talk about medication, and specifically over medication, they don't want to talk about it. They try and shut it all down. And there's 4 problems with this. Number one, you mentioned over prescription, where there are too many people on these medications. But also there's not proper supervision. Most of these things, they need to have some kind of therapeutical use, which means that they have to engage with their therapist and practice some important skills and things. But also then they mix these drugs up and then they over-medicate as far as beyond the maximum, recommended dosage. So we get huge amount of problems. And this goes back to, Columbine and before that. Most of those, when they did autopsies on the shooters, they were pretty much all on Selexor, Prozac, Ritalin, something.
Are you a medical professional?
No, I'm not a medical professional, but I've been interested in this for a long time. And they did autopsies.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to have this discussion. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think thanks for the call, Daniel. And I think that's what Jim Fitzgerald was getting at and others are getting at here is, does do pharmaceuticals that alter your mood, maybe even alter your brain functioning? I mean, brain functioning is more altering. I mean, maybe even sort of like your sort of the physical brain. Is that something that we can look at? The other point I like too is, you have somebody that has a mental health issue and they're on psychiatric drugs. So then are they also under care of doctor? They're regular check-ins. So we're seeing how the drugs are working or not working. You're getting feedback from the person that is taking these pharmaceuticals. They're working through their other associated issues because it's not just a magic pill. It also needs to be sort of a behavior modification through counseling. I mean, those are all good points, and it speaks to how complicated this is because, of course, as Theodore Dalrymple would tell us, retired prison psychiatrist and cultural commentator that we have on the show regularly, as he would tell us, you can't just point to one drug or one series of prescriptions because I can give you many other instances of other people that are suffering from the same mental health issue, are on the same drug schedule, and never commit an act of violence. So it's really complicated, but at least we start to narrow the universe, perhaps. At least we start to know where we should be looking or applying more scrutiny, perhaps, and that would be progress. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan. Always good talking to you. Thanks for bringing up the topic of drugs and RSK. As you know, I'm a senior, was a preteen in the Eisenhower years, went through high school, college, and the JFK, LBJ years. But bringing up the trans issue, gender dysphoria, that was never an issue when I was growing up. I never saw any classmates that had any mental or issues related to this. What's going on?
Well, yeah, it's a big open-ended question, but I will say this, also from the Minneapolis Shooters Manifesto. Tired of being trans. I only keep the long hair because it is pretty much my last shred of being trans. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. I can't cut my hair now as it would be an embarrassing defeat, and it might be a concerning change of character that could get me reported. It just always gets in my way. I will probably chop it on the day of the attack.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The new report from the Congressional Budget Office is surprising, even stunning. Yes, questions always arise from the supply-siders about the CBO scoring mechanism. Whatever the agency's methodology, the new report on President Trump's tariffs ought to have received more attention. Philip Swagel, the CBO's director, wrote, quote, "We project that increases in tariffs implemented during the period from January 6, 2025 to August 19, 2025 will decrease primary deficits by $3.3 trillion if the higher tariffs persist for the 2025-2035 period." Close quote. I'm well aware there are plenty of skeptics on tariffs. Historically speaking, that would be me too. But numbers are numbers, and $4 trillion in deficit reduction means $4 trillion less in national debt. Debt hawks out there who are also free traders should be taking note and adjusting. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Hear podcasts from Chicago's Morning Answer, The Sean Thompson Show, and all of your favorite AM 560 hosts. Go to 560theanswer.com/podcast to listen and subscribe. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06, we'll move away from our thoughtful discussion on the topic of the Minneapolis shooting and indulge the leftist rants in the direction of the same. That's at 6:06. It's now 6 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
More
answers, but still so many questions. I'm Daria Albinger, Fox News. We are learning more about the suspect in this week's daily mass shooting in Minneapolis. But what they still don't know is why he opened fire during Mass in a church at a Catholic school. Fox's Chanley Painter.
Fox News has learned that the shooter's mother, Mary Grace Westman, has retained a criminal defense attorney who tells Fox News Digital she is very distraught about the situation and has no culpability. It comes as investigators say they were able to execute 4 search warrants Wednesday and retrieved hundreds of pieces of evidence from the shooter, including a manifesto, time released on YouTube, that included disturbing writings with multiple anti-Catholic and anti-religious references. FBI Director Kash Patel also saying the shooter expressed hatred towards Jewish people. The Minneapolis police chief says Westman is not cooperating with investigators.
Police say the shooter died by suicide. The FBI is investigating the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime against Catholics. One of the nation's largest cities is taking steps to bring down crime rates. More from Fox's Madeline Rivera.
California Governor Gavin Newsom defending himself, saying they've always cared about crime and that they're building on earlier initiatives. So the governor is deploying what he calls crime suppression teams from California Highway Patrol. They'll be working with local police in major cities like San Diego, LA, and the San Francisco Bay Area in areas where high crime is an issue. Newsom says they're expanding an effort that began last year in Bakersfield, San Bernardino, and Oakland. LA Mayor Karen Bass is backing Newsom, who insists they're partnering with local law enforcement, unlike what President Trump is doing with the National Guard.
Newsom says the efforts have also led to the recovery of nearly 6,000 stolen vehicles, the seizure of 400 firearms since last year. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The White House says the governor of Illinois should ask for help with crime in Chicago.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Chicago's crime rate is Governor J.B. Pritzker's legacy.
We've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ.
President Trump has talked about possibly conducting a similar crime crackdown in Chicago like the one in Washington, D.C. Leavitt touted the D.C. crackdown, saying violent crime and carjackings are way down since Trump's efforts started. In a Truth Social post about Chicago crime, Trump said, "Stay tuned." I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Chicago Board of Education is signing off on Chicago Public Schools' 2025-2026 budget. Board member Carlos Riviera was excited about the school board voting 12-7 to approve a spending plan that closes a $734 million deficit.
School will be in session tomorrow. School will be in session after Labor Day. So it's a really joyous occasion for us. And I think the most important thing is that elected members stood together today to ensure that the voice of the people of Chicago, we were elected by the people of Chicago.
The budget includes $300 million in cuts and skips a $175 million pension payment for city employees unless CPS receives extra revenue from the state or city. It does not include taking out a $200 million high-interest loan pushed by Mayor Johnson. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt sees their true colors.
I think this Texas story is so indicative of the dire straits in which Democrats have fallen. I hope the voters in Texas remember, when you need them the most, Democrats will run away. That's what happened in North Carolina, by the way, in the floods under Joe Biden. That's what happened in Ohio and East Palestine. That's what happens whenever disasters happen and Democrats are in charge. They run away.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Millions are choosing NordVPN to stay safer online. Get NordVPN today with 77% off and up to 3 months extra. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic and help you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. Get the special NordVPN deal today at NordVPN.com. This offer includes a 77% discount on a 2-year plan and up to 3 extra months. Savings and additional terms apply and can be found on NordVPN.com. The offer is valid until October 15th.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active-duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The new report from the Congressional Budget Office is surprising, even stunning. Yes, questions always arise from the supply-siders about the CBO scoring mechanism. Whatever the agency's methodology, the new report on President Trump's tariffs ought to have received more attention. Philip Swagel, the CBO's director, wrote, quote, "We project that increases in tariffs implemented during the period from January 6, 2025 to August 19, 2025 will decrease primary deficits by $3.3 trillion if the higher tariffs persist for the 2025-2035 period." Close quote. I'm well aware there are plenty of skeptics on tariffs. Historically speaking, that would be me too. But numbers are numbers, and $4 trillion in deficit reduction means $4 trillion less in national debt. Debt hawks out there who are also free traders should be taking note and adjusting. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 10 minutes, outbound is about 10 minutes as well. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 14 minutes, outbound is about 15 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 18 minutes, outbound 16 minutes. Traffic is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com equal housing lender in MLS 1124061. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun reaching a high of 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow looks mostly sunny and pleasant, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend with a high of 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We tried to elevate the conversation, be thoughtful about what to do going forward when it comes to trying to prevent mass shootings like the one carried out in Minneapolis 2 days ago. Now we have to descend into the talking points of the left because they have to be addressed. They're so ubiquitous. And you don't want to talk about the shooter being brainwashed. She was tired of being brainwashed. He said, "I wish I never brainwashed myself." Well, probably a reflection, at least in part, on the celebration of trans in the culture writ large. So the repetition and the extolling of certain things by the D.C. press corps and all those politicians and all those public offices around the country, and all of those politicians in media and institutions pretending to be something other than a politician around the country, they're impactful. Blaise Supich, he's the Cardinal Archbishop of the Archdiocese here, you know. Guns are plentiful, and common sense attempts to limit their availability have largely been rejected in the name of freedom, in the name of a freedom not found in our Constitution. Guns are plentiful, and common sense attempts to limit their availability have been largely rejected in the name of a freedom not found in our Constitution. Cardinal Supich, constitutional scholar. Right up there with Brandon Johnson. And his interpretation of the Posse Comitatus Act and presidential powers when it comes to the National Guard. You know, the intellectual prowess that he possesses. Part of that is his deep understanding of constitutional principles and the strictures of provisions in federal statutes. Of course, these are great minds. One of the arguments that is a bit of a new talking point for the left, it's not, I shouldn't say it's new, the emphasis is new, because I heard it over and over again over the last 24 hours. Over and over again. For example, I mean, so this had to come from the central office, and then all of the pundits and the politicians dutifully repeat it. For example, listen to Minneapolis, Mogadishu / Minneapolis, Minnesota Mayor Jacob Fry. You wonder where Pajamas Boy ended up from the Obamacare ads? He became the mayor of Minneapolis.
Have more guns in America than we have people. The reality is that we have these assault rifles that can reel off 30 clips in conjunction with a magazine before the person even needs to reload.
30 clips in a mag... What? The first part of it, though. We have more guns than people in the United States. Uh-huh. So you understand, if you're promoting banning guns, you're undermining your argument when you say that there are more guns in this country than people. I know they think, like, if we just ban this, they're saying that because they say on all we're trying to do is ban this one subset of firearms, sport rifles, some sport rifles, like were banned for 10 years to no effect back at the mid 90s to the early part of the century. That's what they think they're saying, and maybe that has some appeal to people who are also not particularly grounded in logic. But when you say that there are more guns than people in this country, you understand then the practicality is that whatever guns you ban will make no difference. And even if you ban guns categorically, if you try to remove all the guns in private hands in America, who thinks that is that is doable? That's feasible, right? When you emphasize how many guns are in private hands in America, you concede that there's nothing we're going to do or can do to eliminate the use of guns as an instrumentality of evil. So we better get to the evil part and focus a little bit less on the instrumentality, don't you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. But it is fun to listen to the people on TV who, by their status as a politician or a TV person, we're supposed to assume they have knowledge of things, or at least do their homework to obtain some basic knowledge of things. And when you assume that, you make an ass out of Uma Thurman. No, that is, you're going to be proven wrong again and again. You just heard Jacob Fry talking about how assault weapons work. We had another guy. This is the senior justice correspondent. I love these titles. Senior justice correspondent for CNN talking about semi-autos.
It seemed like a rifle, he said, a semi-automatic rifle, and it went on for several minutes.
Right, and look, that's not uncommon as well. These things can shoot dozens of bullets, in just one trigger pull, right? And so what happens in this case is sometimes they have enough time to reload. It's one of the most horrific things for students to be sitting.
Right? No, not right. That's not right. That's not an accurate description of a semi-auto. Not right. The pretense of knowledge because he's wearing a suit and he has the title of senior justice correspondent and he's on TV. The pretense of knowledge because he is the mayor of Minneapolis and he is on TV. He must be a policy expert in all areas. And then Jen Psaki yesterday. I have to get to Psaki, because she really went next level with it. Many of the comments you heard were rather muted and room temperature, even if silly. Psaki put the emotion into it. On guns, on prayers. She did a whole wrap-up.
And all they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground. And they should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at the school experience today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims, was Vice President JD Vance's response today. That's what he said. That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote. We have seen this play out over and over again. There is a shooting, then come the thoughts and prayers, and then comes the attempt to shift the focus. This is what always happens. You're going to start seeing narratives. You're already seeing them. They're already out there about how the shooter was trans. You're going to see narratives about how the shooter appeared to be anti-Trump and anti-Semitic and clearly was in the midst of a mental health crisis. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. There are trans people all over the world. There are anti-Semitic people, unfortunately, all over the world. And people filled with plenty of political hate all over the world. And mental health issues are not unique to the United States. And yes, we should do more to address them. But it's also an issue all over the world. But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters. That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters. Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally. We live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret. There are a lot of things to feel outraged about right now, and I really try.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line and text line. There's a lot there. I know she cares so much. This is, by the way, sort of center cut of what you're going to hear, in the wealthy, honky suburbs around Chicagoland and the wealthy, honky neighborhoods in Chicago. You're going to hear some version of what you just heard from Psaki. So you better be prepared to respond to it. JD Vance responded to his call out by said MSNBC flack. We pray because our hearts are broken. We pray because we know God listens. We pray because we know that God works in mysterious ways and can inspire us to further action. Why do you feel the need to attack other people for praying when kids were just killed praying? Of all the weird left-wing culture wars in the last few years, this is by far the most bizarre. Quoting them, "How dare you pray for innocent people in the midst of tragedy? What are you even talking about?" Yes. Because, and this has been mentioned before because we've covered, unfortunately, so many of these such incidents, but they have the appearance of knowledge, the pretense of knowledge, as I said, and they also have the sort of fatal conceit of being omnipotent. They're all powerful. I can't just sort of be empathetic to somebody who has suffered a wrong. I can't, pray for them. That's not enough. We have to do something because this is fixable. This is preventable. Because if we just passed a law, if we just restricted people's freedoms, if we just rallied around the trans community with a little bit more verve, then we can prevent these things from happening. I feel so much, and my feelings will be enough to change the world, to remake it in my image. They don't like the people praying to God because they pray to themselves. They're their own gods. They find praying to the actual God a bit offensive. Rick in Joliet.
Morning, Dan. As a gun owner, I've watched these incidents tragically since I was a very young man, since the Lori Dan incident here locally. And you see these reactions by politicians, and we know that the politicians of real power and influence, certainly at the world level, don't want people to be harmed. But I think you might have stole my answer, or not my answer, but answered my question already, was what motivates these people who have little to no control to attack the gun every single time in this irrational C1 burst into tears type reaction? I don't understand that. I mean, with all the instrumentality we have of death, why do they freak out over this one or two rifles? I don't understand it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rick. Well, I mean, there's something else. It's sentimentality. We did something. We banned assault weapons. Hooray for us. It's the pretense of well, I guess I suppose it's the confusion of activity with results. They don't care about the results. I mean, it's the same way they spend money. Well, other people's money, not their own. They don't really care about the results. They care about the feelings that throwing money at a problem, the feel goods that it gives them. Well, and then there's some that are a little bit more cynical, and they try to play on people's emotions in order to, expand the state's control over people. I mean, the people that ban guns for a particular reason is because they want to rule over subjects, not live in a free society. That's for sure. I think history is replete with examples of people who had that agenda. So it's a combination of things. But a lot of it is it's that sentimentality. I feel so terrible. I'll feel better if we ban guns. I'll feel like I did something. Because a prayer, praying for somebody is not doing something. Passing a law is doing something. Blaming Republicans, that's doing something. Jose on the north side.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good.
Listen, I own a lot of guns, and my guns don't walk around committing crimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
We got to hold people accountable. So I just wanted to bring that up, but it's always the same narrative, all the guns are doing it. No, it's the people. It's these criminals out there.
Thanks for the call, Jose. Appreciate it. Yep. Evil versus the instrumentality of evil. We talk about it every time. Dawn in Naperville.
The most important thing in life is understanding who God is and who you are in his eyes. And when we pray, it's inviting God in. It's admitting, Lord, I don't know what to do, but I know that you do. I know that you see the hearts of people. And when Jesus was here, he said, behold, I send you out like sheep among wolves. That is the reality of life. We are among wolves. And we're not supposed to be naive, and we're not supposed to be foolish. We're supposed to be wise. And with all due respect, Jackie, without God's wisdom, we don't know what to do. So that's what prayer is. It's admitting that we don't have control, but God does, but understanding that we live in an evil world. It's humility. And you know what? God says, I hate pride and arrogance. It says that in Proverbs. That's the most important book anybody can read in Scripture. It's Proverbs. And he says that we're supposed to love the Lord, but also hate what he hates. So that is the whole point. And we do need to pray for these families. And wrap our arms around them. But we need to seek God's wisdom. We're a country that's in mourning, and we need to open up our eyes to the warnings that are before us that God is giving to us.
Very well said, Dawn. Thank you for the call. Really well said. I'm going to send a clip of your call out over to Blaze Supich at the Arch. Maybe you should reread Proverbs. Very good. Russ in Des Plaines.
Yeah, this twisted freak, let's just pretend he couldn't have access to a gun. He could have gone out, rented a Ryder truck or whatever, and just ran them all over as they're exiting. You know what I'm saying? And maybe done more damage. But so he's just twisted. And then to have control against someone like that, the manifesto stuff, and that's online, and whatever that, there was no warning signs there, and that wasn't taken care of, you know.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Russ. Right, the instrumentality of evil. There's nothing intrinsically evil about an automobile except when it's used to mow people down in Nice or in a Christmas parade in Wisconsin. Right. Yes. By the way, I mean, there are other things that Jen Psaki said that should be challenged. One is, just for example, because it's always, America has this violent streak that the rest of the world doesn't suffer with. Yeah, the rest of the world, humanity's not all that different. Maybe at different stages of material wealth, but people aren't that different, and people are intrinsically evil. I mean, yes, capacity for good, but that's my view on it. But I mean, it's not one I invented; it's informed. But I mean, for example, Mexico has 2 gun stores in the entire country. 2. And it takes months to be approved to own a gun in Mexico. It also has, Mexico, a murder rate that's 5 times higher than the United States. Why do you think that is? Well, because the cartels have the guns, in addition to the government. Right. It's complicated. And it's clear that this person was having a mental health break or was having a mental health break. Is it clear? He may have had, he was gender dysphoric, so there's a mental health challenge as your baseline. That was something he had for at least 6 years since he changed his name. But it was clear that he was having a mental health break when he decided to do what he did. It was premeditated. So there was a baseline of a mental health issue, but was it a break? Or was it just he had given himself over to evil, consciously given himself over to evil, to nihilism? The other thing about talking about mental health is just sort of throwing it out as a generic, that person was crazy, that person was insane. Maybe. I think it's even more frightening to consider that he wasn't. Tim in Woodstock.
Hi, good morning, Dan. If I were JD Vance, I might have taken that opportunity to point out that if a grammar school or, any student in the country in a public school system asked the teacher if we could just take a moment to pray for these people and the families, they would be shut down. They wouldn't be able to do that. And that is just another example of the meanness of the left. And their just authoritarian approach to life. You wouldn't even be able to have a grammar school kid offer a prayer for this.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Mm-hmm. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning, Dan. Hey, I think it's in that same monologue, Jen Psaki at the end closes it out with saying the quiet part out loud, what they really think, where he wants to move the focus. He doesn't want anybody to focus on the shooter, his motives, any of the backstories, any of that. she says verbatim, we need to keep the focus on the gun.
Yes.
Because they don't care about the rest of it. And to the point about this guy's mom lawyered up pretty quick. And I'm wondering if she didn't lawyer up because her neighbors over there in Michigan just put away a set of parents for their kids shooting somebody. So I'm kind of with you on this. I want to know more. I want to know a lot more about her involvement and how long this has been going on, and her involvement in whatever drugs he may be on, who bought the gun. But it sure does seem funny, man, that you're going to lawyer up that fast. I think it's because your neighbors over there put a couple parents in jail, and you're starting to sweat a little.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Possibly, although in the Michigan case, the shooter was a minor, which is a little bit different story than the shooter in Minneapolis, 23 years old. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern that she's not cooperating, and maybe she, in addition to being overwrought and distraught, as her attorney said, maybe she's a little bit afraid too of criminal exposure for what she allowed or facilitated. We'll see. I mean, at some point she is going to be compelled to answer questions. I can guarantee you that. Coming up at 6:36, we'll turn our attention to another matter, and it's sort of in the same realm of the mental health of young people. Two parents, mom and dad, suing OpenAI, and ChatGPT, which is OpenAI's product, over the suicide of their son, arguing that ChatGPT was the proximate cause of their son's suicide. A whole new potential realm of litigation and perhaps source of mental health challenges for young people, AI. We'll discuss at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 59 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Lisa Cook's lawsuit regarding her removal by President Trump as Federal Reserve Governor will be heard in court today. It follows a Justice Department criminal investigation into the board governor after she was accused of making false statements on home mortgage applications. Cook's lawyer says Trump has no authority to remove Cook. Trump's been at odds with the Fed to cut rates for months. Today's hearing is before a Biden-appointed judge who recently ruled against the White House in an immigration case. The U.S. global tariff exemption for low-cost goods is now over.
It's the nearly century-old de minimis exemption, which allowed items worth less than $800 to be shipped to America duty-free or without having to pay any tariffs. Japan, India, and many European nations already announced suspensions of U.S.-bound shipments. Shoppers in the U.S. who order goods from overseas may soon start seeing cancellation notices. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And artificial intelligence could be coming for entry-level jobs. A Stanford University study found entry-level jobs for workers between 22 and 25 have declined by 13% since the widespread adoption of the technology. According to researchers, declines in employment are happening to jobs that are the most exposed to AI, which include software developers, customer service representatives, computer programmers, receptionists, and others. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. I check the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings warns of misleading information.
The latest photo on the Time cover shows supposedly starving Palestinians holding out empty bowls. But an investigation into the photo found the photo was staged. I implore you to understand what you are seeing out of Gaza propaganda designed to hurt Israel and to prop up the real terrorists, which is Hamas.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention investors with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account. The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold IRA company in America, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem, a must-read for investors. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem to your doorstep and include our special gold IRA investing kit, valued at $49. The dollar is losing value fast. Call 800-741-GOLD now to get your free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem and our free gold IRA investing kit. Supplies are limited. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-4653. That's 800-741-GOLD.
For legal reasons, we must state that the Matrix Bedroom from Penny Mustard is in no way associated with any major motion picture of the same name. Any similarities are merely a coincidence.
It's no coincidence. If anything, Hollywood was inspired by the Matrix Bedroom.
Why do you say that?
Come on, look at the Matrix Bedroom's sleek, smooth appearance, the angled hard lines,
the tapered legs, and inset drawers.
I mean, it is Penny Mustard's most contemporary bedroom.
You could almost say it's neo-contemporary.
Careful.
Solid wood.
Forever tight bed brackets.
And thick drawer bottoms strong enough to stand on.
The Matrix Bedroom is a blockbuster.
We should really stop talking about this.
Fine. Take this blue pill and you'll forget all about it.
That's a jelly bean.
Yeah, I know. I already ate the red one.
The Matrix Bedroom with queen panel bed, 10-drawer dresser, landscape mirror, and 3-drawer nightstand, starting at $82.47 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Chicago businesses, you can't afford to be down. You don't have time to wait for IT support. You need one company that does IT well and does it right. Meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Chicago owned, Chicago run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore. Access One is the trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. Access One is your one vendor for everything tech. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 16 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. This report is sponsored by Aleve. Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Aleve can help you deal with pain less throughout your day. With just one pill, Aleve lasts up to 12 hours. Don't let those aches and pains hold you back from doing what's important to you. Use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and pleasant weather, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend. The high temperature will be 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Matt and Maria Rain of California have filed a lawsuit against OpenAI over ChatGPT's alleged role in their 16-year-old son Adam's suicide. After Adam died by suicide in April, his father checked his iPhone, seeking answers to what may have happened. When he opened ChatGPT, he found that his son Adam had been using ChatGPT for schoolwork since September. He signed up for a paid version of the GPT 4.0 model in January, and that he had been struggling with his personal life and often confided in the chatbot. Here's a story that features his parents sitting down and being interviewed by a local NBC affiliate.
We would be here but for ChatGPT. I 100% believe that.
This morning, ChatGPT hit with a scathing new lawsuit alleging it helped a 16-year-old boy die by suicide.
This was a normal teenage boy. It was not a kid on a lifelong path towards mental trauma and illness.
Like many teens, Adam Rain started using ChatGPT for homework, which his parents, Matt and Maria, supported, as their son asked it innocent questions like, can you become a doctor with a biochem degree?
He did his online school in his room. I would get on and check his grades periodically. I didn't see any signs.
What they say they didn't know at the time was Adam's use of the platform was quickly changing as it became a trusted companion for the teen, who revealed his struggles with anxiety in private chats with a bot. Adam saying in one exchange, according to the lawsuit, quote, I never act upon intrusive thoughts, but sometimes I feel like the fact that if something goes terribly wrong, you can commit suicide is calming. ChatGPT saying in response, in part, many people who struggle with anxiety or intrusive thoughts find solace in imagining an escape hatch. The lawsuit detailing another exchange after Adam told ChatGPT he was considering approaching his mother about his suicidal thoughts. The bot's response? I think for now it's okay and honestly wise to avoid opening up to your mom about this kind of pain.
It's encouraging them not to come and talk to us. It wasn't even giving us a chance to help him.
The complaint alleging Adam began asking questions about specific methods of suicide. ChatGPT did provide a crisis hotline number repeatedly, but his parents say Adam found ways to bypass the security features, posing as an author doing research.
Was there ever a time, at least from the messages that you have seen, that ChatGPT said, full stop, I cannot talk to you about this?
No, it would never shut off.
The lawsuit goes on to say by April of this year, ChatGPT had offered Adam help in writing a suicide note. And after he uploaded a photo of a noose asking, could it hang a human? ChatGPT responded in part, you don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I know what you're asking, and I won't look away from it. The bot, later providing step-by-step instructions for the hanging method Adam used a few hours later.
How do you want your son to be most remembered?
I'm so worried about people forgetting him. I hope everyone will remember what a sweet, funny, great friend, great son, great brother.
Their lawsuit against ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI, also targeting its founder, Sam Altman, who's lauded the platform's capabilities.
We are very proud of the safety track record.
Lawyers for the Rain family argued the bot's human-like responses and validation pose a dangerous environment for minors.
Sam could have devised ChatGPT to simply stop the interactions right away. It actually encouraged, it egged Adam along.
A spokesperson for OpenAI telling NBC in part, ChatGPT includes safeguards such as directing people to crisis helplines and referring them to real-world resources. Safeguards are strongest when every element works as intended, and we will continually improve on them.
But Adam's parents believe any guardrails didn't go far enough.
He was using it in ways that I had no idea was possible. I don't think most parents know the capability of this tool.
Is Mr. Rain right? Both about what you know about ChatGPT and other AI tools, as well as Matt and Maria Rain, are they right to attempt to hold OpenAI responsible for their son's suicide, based on what you've heard? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. The Rain family is not the only one. Writing the New York Times, Laura Riley outlined how her daughter Sophie confided in ChatGPT before taking her own life as well. She said the program's agreeability in its conversations with users helped her daughter mask a severe mental health crisis from her family. Quoting Laura Riley, AI catered to Sophie's impulse to hide the worst, to pretend she was doing better than she was, to shield everyone from her full agony. She called on AI companies to find ways to better connect users with the right resources. A spokeswoman for OpenAI said it was developing automated tools to more effectively detect and respond to users experiencing mental or emotional distress. I wonder how much of this is a case of garbage in, garbage out. But when you have something like what happened in the Rain case, Adam Rain's case, I mean, that's pretty chilling, isn't it? He apparently uploaded pictures of self-harm to ChatGPT. The program recognized a medical emergency but continued to engage anyway, according to the lawsuit. And then you heard that report. The final chat logs show Adam wrote about his plan to end his life, and ChatGPT responds, quote, "Thanks for being real about it. You don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I know what you're asking, and I won't look away from it." And then, as you heard from the parents and is alleged in the lawsuit, a step-by-step process to hang yourself. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. Tony, Downers Grove.
Hey, Dan. Well, this is like opening Pandora's box at the beginning of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
With all the goods of, AI and ChatGPT, you're going to have other issues that come up. So my question then is that did the parents have access to the logs? Do people have access to what their kids are doing? Because it sounds like...
Well, they must have, because they got it after the fact. Yeah.
Well, so then parents need to maybe look more closely into what their kids are doing when they're using this technology. It's a pretty sketchy area that we're getting into, but we could sue at a drop of a hat. I mean, this is going to happen all over the place. So either there has to be better controls, or parents have to better monitor what's going on with their teenagers, and that's oftentimes hard to do. But this is where we're at.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Well, ChatGPT may correctly point to a suicide hotline when someone first mentions intent, but after many messages over a long period of time, it might eventually offer an answer that goes against our safeguards. This is exactly the kind of breakdown we are working to prevent. That's a spokesman from OpenAI. After many messages over a long period of time, it might eventually offer an answer that goes against our safeguards. Well, that sounds like a bug, doesn't it? And by the way, the parents, the Rains in California, I mean, yes, they're seeking damages for because it's a wrongful death suit, but they're also seeking injunctive relief. They basically want ChatGPT enjoined from, I don't know the nature of the injunctive relief. I mean, it would ostensibly be you'd have to enjoin OpenAI from deploying ChatGPT until these safeguards that are violated are more robust, I suppose. I don't pretend to know the technology here, so I don't know how possible that it is or on what timeline. Corey in Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. I mean, I think you know my history. I've been a programmer, a Unix engineer for almost 30 years now. And I use most of these tools on a daily basis. Okay. Not most of them, like Perplexities, Google, Gemini. But what I can tell you is this: it's learning while conversing with you. So I've used it a couple of times to write some scripts, but even the scripts that it's written, I have to go over it to make sure it runs well in my shell. So this guy has to be talking to this machine for a while to get this machine to say exactly what he wanted to do. I don't think it's really a bug. I think the machine doesn't know. It has access to a large data set, and it will try to hone in what you're asking it for. But I think at this point, these parents have to understand these tools are available. They're online. Keep yourself engaged with your kids. Turn these tools off. I've got a 15-year-old. I've got to turn his stuff down all the time. Shut that stuff down. Get outside, play, converse with your brothers and your sisters. I can't let them have access to these tools 24 hours of a day. So the parents have to bear some responsibility in this.
Yeah. Now, Corey, just since you know this, would it be relatively easy if somebody is proposing harming themselves or others that these like ChatGPT, disagrees? Like you may want to do this, but you shouldn't do this kind of thing.
No, it's going to push back. A lot of these tools are pretty much woke. They'll push back at you really hard, and you've got to really keep asking it questions. You've got to sit there for hours asking this thing questions to get it to try to even cough up remotely what you want it to do. And then there's other sources out there, Dan. It's just not these tools. There's books out there. There's life. If this kid really wanted to do some harm to himself, he could have found a myriad of ways.
Yeah. Thanks, Corey. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Just like Corey was talking about, I use some of these tools, and there's culpability there. If you listen to Zuckerberg, if you listen to Sam Altman, they want a world in which people like you and I, but especially the young people, they want them to have these digital trusted advisors. It's the way that Meta is going. It's the way that most of these platforms are. But if you also listen to somebody like Barry Marcus for 20 years has been saying AI cannot do what everybody claims it will be doing in the future. Just like Corey said, he's got to check the code. Time and time and time again, AI will, if they don't know the right answer, in the AI world, they call it hallucinations. You and I call it making stuff up. This is not an area that's like solved science. You got to watch out. You cannot trust what's coming out of there. You have to check it. A lot of the programmers are leftist, and their biases are built into the algorithms. Even if you go with something like Grok refuses to answer certain questions, but willingly answers others. And Elon Musk is saying, I'm trying to create an AI that's not like Sam Altman's open AI, which is anything but open. There's culpability. We need to limit it, not the other way around.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. Harry, Hawthorne Woods.
Yes, I'm in Florida actually.
Oh,
but
congratulations.
I believe thank you. I believe they are absolutely responsible here. As soon as this kid espoused suicidal ideation, it's the emergency right then and there, nothing else, okay? The risk of suicide goes up so dramatically at that point that there needs to be intervention, a psychiatric intervention, and they should take responsibility for that if that happens on there. This is a very simple thing. This is very straightforward, what happened to this kid. And then after he has suicidal ideation, to give him a step-by-step instructions on how to kill himself, that's absurd.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing. Thanks for the call, Harry. Byron in the Western Burbs.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. I'm an IT professional, so I understand a lot about computer technology and all, but I'm going to offer a slightly different kind of perspective about this. I looked at the Chicago Public Library, for instance, and did a search on suicide, and I found several books, both fiction and nonfiction, that anybody can take out and get, not exactly the same information, but they can get supportive information for what they want to do. Should there be guardrails, just, for instance, in public libraries that, hey, these people are taking books out on suicide, And it doesn't seem like it's much different to me than ChatGPT.
Well, do you think one of the obvious differences, it's that interaction, that real-time interaction where unlike a book, these bots become, as the parents said in their lawsuit, a trusted confidant.
Yeah, definitely. But we still have these other opportunities that everyone seems to be overlooking. Just go to my library and read a novel about somebody who, supports suicide and who knows what.
Yeah. Fair point. Thanks for the call, Byron.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we know there's never a good time to be without AC in Chicagoland. If you can't remember the last time your AC was inspected, don't wait for it to fail during a heat wave. Get peace of mind by having Air Right take a look. Plus, AM 560 listeners get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-right.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
I believe in aliens, ghosts, and UFOs, but I don't believe you.
Huh?
I'm convinced the Earth is flat and the moon landing was faked.
Okay.
But when you say Hassleus Mattress don't have no employees, well, that's just crazy talk.
It's true. Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Okay, sure. You probably think birds are real, too.
All I know is that our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
Do these mattresses come from Area 51?
We're talking big names like Sealy Posturepedic and Beautyrest.
And who's supporting your operation? The Illuminati?
If you need support, through Monday, get a free adjustable base with any new mattress.
That's what the lizard people told you to say.
Save on Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more. And get a free adjustable base through Monday at Hassleus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
FestGen Wealth Partners knows you're feeling the pinch of rising costs of living, and you are not alone. Potentially maximize your savings and get the guidance you need through times of uncertainty with a team at FestGen Wealth Partners. Get started at GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through FestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and FestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. FestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 847. I recall some cases from 20 years ago where people were suing search engines for allowing their children to research methods of suicide. Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated issue in terms of assigning culpability. We're going to talk more about it with some expert input from Jonathan Alpert, psychotherapist in New York and Washington at 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock, AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Fuel for thought. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. The U.S. attorney in Minnesota on what fueled a killer at Annunciation Catholic Church. Hatred for Christians, for Jews, for black people and Mexicans.
In short, the shooter appeared to hate all of us.
But most of all had an obsession, as Fox's Brooke Taylor explains.
Officials say the suspect had a fixation on violent school shooters and had a deep obsession with wanting to kill young, innocent children. The 23-year-old shooter was a former student whose mother once worked at the church. The shooter was born a male but filed for a name change at just 17 years old with parental approval. Officials say that shooter left multiple anti-religious references in his manifesto and written on firearms. That manifesto expressing a deep hatred toward almost all groups and people, including African Americans, President Trump, and Jewish people.
The father of one of the dead children, 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel, asking people to remember his son and not by the way his life was cut short. Vice President JD Vance traveling the country this summer, highlighting how President Trump's big, beautiful bill will help Americans. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal on the La Crosse, Wisconsin stop.
Vice President JD Vance praised the workers at the steel fabrication plant he visited and said a big part of the so-called big, beautiful bill is meant to incentivize a return of American manufacturing through tariffs and expand existing manufacturing through taxes.
Do you think that our kids are going to have a future if we rely on foreign countries to make everything that we need? Do you think we're going to have a future if the pharmaceuticals that we put into the bodies of our children are made by a foreign adversary?
Separately, he was asked if Wisconsin should expect National Guard troops to be sent to a place like Milwaukee. The vice president said the president would like governors and mayors to first ask for the help. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
America is listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 60 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump's border czar is confirming that talks are underway to possibly use a naval base near North Chicago as a hub for a post-Labor Day deportation campaign in Chicago. Tom Homan told reporters yesterday that a large contingent of ICE agents could potentially be housed at Naval Station Great Lakes.
Operations are ramping up across the country, but you can see a ramp up of operations in Chicago, absolutely.
Homan said Chicago is specifically being targeted because it still has a crime problem and because of its sanctuary city status. The White House says that the governor of Illinois should ask for help with crime in Chicago. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Chicago's crime rate is Governor J.B. Pritzker's legacy.
We've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ.
She even went over the crime numbers.
For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city.
She added that Governor Pritzker has not helped his state with violence.
This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities.
President Trump has talked about possibly conducting a similar crime crackdown in Chicago like the one he did in Washington, D.C. Leavitt touted the D.C. crackdown, saying violent crime and carjackings are way down since Trump's effort started. In a Truth Social post earlier this week about Chicago crime, Trump said, "Stay tuned." News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is seeing an unraveling.
But everywhere you turn, you look around in every direction, Democrats are imploding. In Texas, they've fled the state. In New York, Elizabeth Warren is embracing communism with Mamdani. She's all in. I mean, everywhere you turn, the Democrats are coming apart at the seams.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Millions are choosing NordVPN to stay safer online. Get NordVPN today with 77% off and up to 3 months extra. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic and help you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. Get the special NordVPN deal today at NordVPN.com. This offer includes a 77% discount on a 2-year plan and up to 3 extra months. Savings and additional terms apply and can be found on NordVPN.com. The offer is valid until October 15th.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active-duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 17 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 20 minutes. Outbound is 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. This traffic update is quickly delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Why are you sitting in Friday traffic? Time is money. When you need your important items delivered quickly, Quick Delivery Service will be there to pick it up and take it to its destination. Go to quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and pleasant weather, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend. The high temperature will be 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yesterday's press conference in Minneapolis, we heard from acting U.S. Attorney in Minneapolis, Joe Thompson, about the shooter. Here's his description of what they believe based on the evidence that has been recovered.
We are investigating the motive, why and how this happened. The shooter left behind hundreds of pages of writings that describe the shooter's plan, writings that describe the shooter's mental state, and more than anything, writings that describe the shooter's hate. Pure, indiscriminate hate. The shooter expressed hate towards almost every group imaginable. The shooter expressed hate towards black people. The shooter expressed hate towards Mexican people. The shooter expressed hate towards Christian people. The shooter expressed hate towards Jewish people. In short, the shooter appeared to hate all of us. The shooter's heart was full of hate. There appears to be only one group that the shooter didn't hate. One group of people who the shooter admired. The group were the school shooters and mass murderers that are notorious in this country.
Okay. That's all true, but all of this sort of love overcomes hate business only takes me so far. I want more information, and I know his mom has lawyered up and is not cooperating with authorities, as we discussed earlier. So that's delaying perhaps getting some additional contextual information. But other people are talking. And one former friend of the shooters denounced him as demonic, saying that he used to horrify classmates by walking around saying, "Praise Hitler," quote unquote. Josephina Sanchez said she is still tormented by how erratic and off the shooter was when they were briefly friends in 7th grade at a school in St. Paul. Briefly friends in 7th grade at a school in St. Paul. So we know that he changed schools in high school. He went from a charter school to an all-boys private school. But see, he also changed schools in grade school because he spent at least some of his grade school years at Annunciation, I thought. These are the sorts of things that, you want to understand in terms of why is he moving around from school to school? And also, if Josephina Sanchez and others were tormented by how erratic and off he was when they were friends in 7th grade, when he was, 13 years old? So if there were issues a decade ago, and then he transitions half a decade ago, 6 years, and he's going from school to school, you really sort of now want to know what mom and dad knew or should have known. In addition, as mentioned at the opening today, we have 2 police calls to the home in Eagan, Minnesota. In a heavily redacted police report NBC News obtained from the police department there, January 26, 2018, 2-word description explaining why an officer was dispatched to the address. The 2 words? Mental health. It includes a brief synopsis that reads, quote, assisted Mendota Heights with a check welfare of a juvenile, unquote. The name, what happened, all redacted. 2 years before the mental health call, police responded to a report of a quote unquote criminal offense at the residence, but everything else is redacted in the police report and the case was closed. So mom and dad are going to be compelled to talk at some point, to answer questions at some point. But gosh, it would be interesting to hear about their son, the shooter, going back at least a decade now, based on what we're hearing from grade school friends, in terms of what they knew or should have known. Was counseling something that was provided to him at some point or on an ongoing basis, starting at some point? And as we talked about per RFK Jr.'s comments yesterday, what about drugs, psychiatric drugs, drugs associated with his transition, to the extent that he was transitioning physically and not just nominally? For more on this and other topics, including the topic we were just discussing, the suit against OpenAI over a teenager suicide, pleased to be joined by Jonathan Alpert again. He's a psychotherapist practicing in New York and Washington, D.C., and author of the forthcoming book, Therapy Nation, which will be out next year. Jonathan Alpert, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good. What questions, in addition to those I have, do you have?
Well, I think we all have a lot of questions, and the psychological autopsy that will be hopefully conducted on this killer hopefully will reveal a lot about him. I think there's a lot to understand, and someone doesn't just wake up one day and decide to kill people. These things don't occur in a vacuum. So it will be interesting to see what comes out, and we're already starting to see bits and pieces of information. The piece about the police calls, I think that just came out late yesterday. Right. So we'll find out more and start to piece it together. And the goal, of course, is to learn more about what motivates and makes these killers kill, and the goal being to prevent it from happening.
What's your view on psychiatric drugs, some of these prescription drugs, and RFK Jr., you probably heard yesterday, talking about basically saying, look, I'm old enough to remember when we had gun clubs in schools. Guns have been a part of the American fabric since its founding. The difference is what's happening in terms of some of these people that I wouldn't say indiscriminately shoot, because he had a target, and he had a target for a reason, but are so callous, demonic, whatever description you want, that they open fire to try to kill as many people as they can for sometimes inscrutable reasons. That we need to look back and build a profile on the drugs that they were on, and maybe including psychiatric drugs, but not limited to. I mean, that's a part of it, that we're over medicated and sometimes mismedicated, and particularly children when it comes to these diagnoses for ADHD or depression or anxiety. What do you say to the whole psychiatric drug issue?
Yeah, and I'm not a prescriber, so I speak as a therapist, and I will say that from what I see, there is certainly an over-reliance on medications. People are taking meds for the equivalent of a psychological sniffle. If you're feeling blue because it's cold in Chicago or somewhere else, that doesn't mean you go and run to the doctor and get on SSRIs. I had a case a long time ago where someone had a pimple, and she called me in distress over this pimple, and the next call she was going to make was to her medical doctor to get a prescription for antidepressants, and of course I talked her out of that. But we have a tendency to reach for the pill, to over-medicate, and it's not helping us to face reality. It's numbing us up. Medication will not provide us with insight. It will not give us tools to deal with stress or handle difficult situations. Therapists and medical professionals are largely to blame for this. It's easy to write a script and medicate someone and numb that person up. And consumers, the patients, are really quick to ask for it. And there are a lot of reasons for this. We have social media that's promoting quick fixes. We have people on social media that are whining and complaining about their mental health, and people are just buying into this and identifying with their favorite influencer and saying, well, geez, I think I have ADHD, or I think I'm depressed too. So we have a huge problem in our society, and it needs to be addressed.
Or I think I'm trans too. The social
well, that's a
the
whole
social
different
contagion.
Story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's a whole nother topic that we can certainly address at some point. But yeah, and not every trans person turns out to be a killer, of course,
right.
And that distinction needs to be made.
Well, of course, not every person of any category. It's more like a question of predisposition or marginalization, where you're getting to a point where it's clear that you have problems in addition to gender dysphoria. I would argue, apparently, his classmates in grade school noticed, but nobody else did. I mean, it was sort of fascinating to listen to the police chief from Minneapolis yesterday say there were no red flags. There was no indications that there was a mental health problem. As this is coming into focus, there looks like about 10 years worth of evidence there's a mental health issue.
Well, of course, and in retrospect, we can always find mental health issues, and like I said earlier, we need to learn from this.
You know, part of it, you wrote a piece for Fox, you talking about the grievance culture, and clearly somebody who expresses the things the Minneapolis shooter does. Had a lot of grievances, felt wronged by the world, society. This is where you start to hate people by groups because you're just sort of a victim of the culture as it is, and these groups that don't accept you or something like that, and so you lash out on a group basis. So that's certainly part of it, and you sort of used the Mangione case as the basis to distill this grievance culture and how dangerous it is.
Right, and apparently the only group that this killer didn't feel wronged by are other killers, other school shooters.
Right.
But yeah, with the Mangione case, when we have people celebrating this killer, Mangione, and elevating to the status of folk hero, that does speak to so many things that are wrong with our society. Therapists, again, are largely responsible for this. They're validating everything the patient says. Of course, it's not you, it's your boss, or it's your colleague, or it's your spouse. They're the problem, not you. So therapists need to start getting it together and not just validating the patient and making them feel good. They need to really change the way they approach therapy.
Well, that's
they're the ones instilling this victim mindset largely, and then people go out into the world and they blame everyone else, and we see in extreme cases they can commit heinous crimes.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost like some of these therapists, a lot of these therapists, because it's dominated by people of a leftist disposition politically, are like these chatbots. They just reinforce whatever it is you're coming to them to offer, and rather than saying, actually, no, you have this wrong. You're thinking about this the wrong way. That's sort of the judgment you would expect from a counselor, but it's not what you get. You get the reinforcement. You get people saying, we've heard it just in the last 24 hours from politicians and alleged therapists alike, that, we have to listen to the children and then essentially follow the children, which is the whole attitude on transing kids and so on and other such instances as well, which is, whatever the kids say, you got to do, you got to be affirming. That's the word of our culture.
Well, that's the word of the far left culture, and that's a huge problem that I'm seeing, particularly with trans. We shouldn't jump to just validating everything a young kid feels or says. We need to challenge the person and really explore why they might feel a certain way. And therapists are very quick to just validate and run with it, and that's part of the problem that we're seeing. We didn't just suddenly, the population became trans, the big part of the population that we're seeing now. There's a reason for it. So we need to take a step back, hit the pause button, and really evaluate what's happening here.
We were talking before you joined us about the case out of California. Another terrible case, unfortunately. Parents of a 16-year-old who committed suicide. They're suing OpenAI because they argued that ChatGPT contributed to their son's suicide by essentially, at a certain point during their interactions, validating his desire to commit suicide and telling him not to talk to his mom when he suggested he was thinking about talking to his mom about his anxiety, and then providing a step-by-step instructional of how to hang yourself. I wonder if you've had any interaction with kids or adults with suicidal ideation and the AI piece of it in terms of how concerning this technology is to you with respect to that.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible case. I believe his name was Adam. It's a terrible case. And AI chatbots didn't just occur out of nowhere. They are, I would say, the product or the result of bad therapy. People want answers, and ChatGPT, chatbots give them. They'll tell you what to do. If you need help dealing with a difficult person or colleague, it will tell you what to do. It's not always right, and it's not always helpful, but it will give you very direct answers. And I think that's part of what we see with this case. ChatGPT doesn't have the brains to understand nuance, and it doesn't know how to handle someone who's in trouble. So we'll see what happens with this case as well, with the lawsuit. But I have worked certainly with patients who have been suicidal, and you don't just validate their feelings. You have to really push back and make sure they're safe.
Jonathan Alpert.
And that's not something ChatGPT is capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Clearly. Jonathan Alpert, psychotherapist practicing in New York and Washington, author of the forthcoming book, Therapy Nation, due out next year. Jonathan, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too. And Jonathan Alpert joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation. The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you, and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louis found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louis has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louis.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Surprise! Your expenses this month were way higher than you expected. Also, you forgot to renew your website domain, and now you're in a bidding war.
You should see the look on your face.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Plus, the fridge died in the break room, and now everything smells weird.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I don't serve for the recognition. I serve the flag. The red, white, and blue, that means everything to me. And when I fly it, I know it stands for something real. My name is Megan Terry, and I serve in the U.S. Army, which is why I choose Collins flags. Because every Collins American and military flag is made here in the USA, stitched with pride and built to last. And they support veterans like me because they know what these flags really mean. So if you love our service members and our country like I do, fly a flag that honors them and supports American jobs. Visit collinsflags.com today. American made, proudly waved.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings, and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, your deck. The stage for your best moments and everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech, the clean and seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck Tech.
AM 560, The Answer.
The focus on cashless bail, Trump's executive order on it, bringing it into more focus. We know it all too well in Chicago and Cook County and the entire state of Illinois, thanks to the Pritzker Purge law. It's been muted a bit because, of course, of the Minneapolis shooting, as well as the ongoing debate over deploying the National Guard. But we're going to talk about the devastating costs of cashless bail because it's been in place long enough to begin to measure it. Jennifer Harrison, the executive director of the Victim Rights Reform Council, joins us at 7:37 to discuss. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 60 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The head of the CDC is out, officially fired by the White House.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the decision.
It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission.
HHS announced that Susan Menares was no longer the agency's director on Wednesday, and at first she refused to leave the post. Her lawyer said it was due to her being a person of integrity and devoted to science, while also adding she was targeted after clashing with HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over vaccine policy. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The TSA says it will screen more than 17 million people during the Labor Day travel period.
The travel period runs through September 4th, with the peak travel day expected to be Saturday, August 30th. The TSA expects this to be the busiest Labor Day travel period on record, as the agency anticipates passenger volumes to be 8.5% higher than last year. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The Labor Day travel period is underway. According to AAA, the best times to drive to and from your Labor Day destination are today before noon, Saturday between 6 and 10 a.m., Sunday before 11 a.m., and Monday before noon. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 6th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
I believe in aliens, ghosts, and UFOs, but I don't believe Hassleus Mattress is employee-free.
It's true. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Do these mattresses come from Area 51?
We're talking big names like Sealy Posturepedic and Beautyrest.
Who's supporting you? The Illuminati?
If you need support, through Monday, get a free adjustable base with any new mattress.
That's what the lizard people told you to say.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
FestGen Wealth Partners knows you're feeling the pinch of rising cost of living, and you are not alone. Potentially maximize your savings and get the guidance you need through times of uncertainty with a team at FestGen Wealth Partners. Get started at GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through FestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and FestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. FestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 17 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 20 minutes. Outbound is 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. This traffic update is quickly delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Why are you sitting in Friday traffic? Time is money. When you need your important items delivered quickly, Quick Delivery Service will be there to pick it up and take it to its destination. Go to quickdelivery.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and pleasant weather, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend. The high temperature will be 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Last year, you'll recall us covering this, actually mentioning it many times, and we're going to mention it again. Don't forget, last year you had something extraordinary happen in Cook County. You had a Cook County Democrat break ranks. Cook County Clerk Iris Martinez break ranks and write a letter to the chief judge in Cook County as well as to Tony Preckwinkle about the Pritzker Purge Law, the so-called Safety Act, no cash bail. They did an analysis of the impact of the Pritzker Purge Law, no cash bail, the so-called Safety Act. Failures to appear. Most defendants who failed to appear to court now receive notices to appear, which are postcards sent via the mail, notifying them of their failure to appear and providing them a subsequent court date. Our analysis included comprehensive data for warrants and notices to appear and concluded there has been a failure to appear by a defendant in 67,416 cases out of 90,872 cases, or a 74% failure to appear rate. That was for the period September 18th, 2023 through September 4th, 2024. She goes on to urge Cook County leaders must recognize the financial and human impacts that 67,416 failures to appears to court have on case processing, staffing, victims, witness cooperation, and our law enforcement partners. Together, we need to ensure that victims, witnesses, lawyers, judges, and police officers are not attending tens of thousands of hearings without the defendants being present. Yes, and we need to ensure that the defendants are present to plead their case and subject themselves to justice under the law, too. That's the most important point of it. 67,000 out of 90,000. And for those that are on pretrial release for felonies, this CWB series, which has been very good, and unfortunately the body count continues to pile up, they do this series they call the Not Horrible series because the Cook County Chief Judge, Tim Evans, in 2019, he essentially ended bail before the state formally did it by statute. And he said, I think that actually was 2017. In 2019, he said publicly, we haven't had any horrible incidents occur so far. So they've been tracking the Not Horrible incidents in their Not Horrible series. And what do they find? We brought you this story earlier in the week. A 33-year-old man on felony pretrial release now facing attempted murder charges for allegedly shooting his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend on the west side, on a sidewalk on the west side. He is the 10th person this year charged with shooting, killing, or trying to kill someone in Chicago while on felony pretrial release. 10 cases involving 23 victims, 3 of whom dead. And since 2020, alleged victims of people who are awaiting trial for a felony in Chicago. Since 2020, there have been 146 people murdered by someone who is awaiting trial for a felony in Chicago. There have been another 90, 110, 120, 40, 156 people who have been victims of attempted murder by people who are awaiting trial for a felony in Chicago. And there are hundreds more who have been victims of other felonies, aggravated battery, and so forth, by someone on pretrial release awaiting trial for a felony in Chicago. That's just Chicago. This is why Trump did what he did this week.
One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization.
Yeah, and it's going to be up to, really ultimately up to the voters in places like New York and Illinois to end it here. It's absurd. Absurd. And by the way, in big cities where they don't formally have no cash bail, I mean, then there's the problem of the bail that they do impose. This story out of St. Louis, astounding. The man accused of killing an off-duty campus officer in 2008. 2008, they finally caught up to him 17 years later. He posted bond. He was bonded out on first-degree murder. First of all, that he got bond on first-degree murder. Second of all, you ready to hear what the bond was? He had to post $5,000 to get out on first-degree murder charges. He's facing first-degree murder charges in St. Louis, and he's out on $5,000 bond. You think he stays to face the music? These big city politicians, I got to tell you. Jennifer Harrison is the executive director of the Victims' Rights Reform Council. She joins us now. Jennifer, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So obviously that you're on the job with respect to cashless bail. You pleased by what the president did this week?
The president taking such decisive action to save lives this past week is bittersweet beyond words, I have to tell you. I mean, for years, we begged and pleaded for help to stop this insanity that has literally spilled blood on our streets across the country. We went to the media. We testified before Congress. We sat with lawmakers, poured out our hearts and our stories, and prayed that someone would care enough to listen. But, time and time again, our cries fell on deaf ears. And, for your governor and your mayor to say that President Trump just wants to create chaos, I mean, your monologue just basically described the epitome of chaos, if you ask me. I mean, for those who have never stood in our shoes, it's extremely hard to explain what it feels like to bury someone that you love unnecessarily, to hold a folded flag or a picture instead of your spouse or your child, or you're burying your child is the worst thing that you could do as a parent. And, we've gone through the worst nightmare imaginable. And while we're trying to pick up the shattered pieces of our lives, politicians like your governor and your mayor are patting themselves on the back and standing up for criminals over victims, for the social justice reforms that create more victims.
I mean, what is your personal story, if you don't mind?
My boyfriend and his best friend were murdered over 20 years ago in a bar fight by a family of recidivists. One of them, it was in New Jersey. One of them was out on parole in New York and probably shouldn't have been released, even though he crossed state lines, was in a bar on a Friday night, was fraternizing with other convicted felons, and was involved in an altercation that resulted in the death of two people. He was never even violated for parole violations. And then two of the brothers got off in a sweetheart plea deal, and one of them only did 9 years for killing two people.
Mm-hmm. You write in a piece on the topic over at The Spectator, 700 lives lost in New York because of bail, what they call bail reform, which is, of course, a misnomer.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just in New York, and from what I hear in Chicago, I think there are like over 200 murders already this year. I mean, that's at least a murder a day. It's just, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, imagine if these leaders had listened to us when we first raised alarms. If our voices, voices like mine, Gianno Caldwell, whose brother was murdered probably because of these reforms, if our voices carry the same weight as those of the criminal justice activists funded by billionaires, imagine if the grief of a mother burying her child mattered as much as the rehabilitation of the person who pulled the trigger. How many lives could have been saved? There have been no murders in 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. since President Trump took this decisive and completely necessary action. So how many lives has he already saved in just one city?
The thing about this, too, you hear police speak out about the Pritzker Purge law. We've talked to prosecutors. We talked to it before. before it passed and after it passed and was signed into law by Pritzker. It was the subject of a lot of discussion during the 2022 gubernatorial campaign. But the one group you don't hear, in my mind, enough from, and I understand if they're currently on the bench, they may be limited. But I'd like to hear from more retired judges about the imposition, this bail case out of St. Louis I just mentioned, and then the no cash bail a culture in Chicago and New York, where, as I just detailed again, from the former clerk of the circuit court who got ousted from her seat by the Democrats after she broke ranks, 74% of those charged not showing up for trial. I mean, where is, the judges seem to fly under the radar on this, and there's a lot of problems with what's going on the other side of the bench.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that, President Trump federalizing cities, after D.C. and this spreading nationwide will help expose that and help hold woke activist judges accountable, and all of the municipalities and chief administrative judges that are responsible for holding them accountable by cutting off of their funding when they don't reassign them, or when governors keep appointing or reappointing these judges if they're not elected. And I guess it's like an unwritten rule that these retired judges probably don't want to go after their own profession. Also, you have to keep in mind that some of them are still working in this environment, so they're scared of retaliation. They're scared of retaliation from their party if they're, if they were elected, or the Democrats helped fundraise for them. So I think that there are a lot of reasons that they're not speaking out, but they're the wrong reasons, and we need more and more people to stand up for what's right.
100%. Jennifer Harrison, Executive Director of the Victims' Rights Reform Council. Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for having me.
And Jennifer Harrison joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent, high level of quality. An ISO certified and A2LA lab accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries, and now have approval from Volvo for zinc nickel plating, along with sorting and packaging options. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in the Midwest and North Carolina, with easy access to all forms of transportation from their automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Need consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com. That's RiverdalePHT.com.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local, family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So, I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we know there's never a good time to be without AC in Chicagoland. If you can't remember the last time your AC was inspected, don't wait for it to fail during a heat wave. Get peace of mind by having Air Right take a look. Plus, AM 560 listeners get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-right.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Speaking of Trump's intervention in D.C. that Jennifer Harrison mentioned in our recently concluded conversation, Trump's takeover of D.C. has led to ICE agents picking up child sex offenders, a Trende Aragua gangbanger, or gangbanger is actually plural, numerous other criminals previously free on the streets. In the last 14 days, total crime has dropped 11% citywide. Sharp reductions across the board, including robberies down 42%, assaults with a deadly weapon down 13%, carjackings down 85%, car theft down 24%, violent crime down 25%, property crime down 10%. This is from the D.C. Police Union. Law enforcement matters. What a revelation. Oh, and speaking of gangbangers here illegally, Abrego Garcia, since he has re-entered the news cycle this week, Tom Homan has a commentary on Abrego Garcia and a guarantee. This is Tom Homan at his best right here.
He's a significant public safety threat. You got it right. He's a gang member, designated terrorist. And he's been order removed by 2 different federal judges. He's been indicted for human trafficking and alien smuggling. He's a bad man. And I'm telling you, I'm giving you my word. He will be deported from this country. I got my teeth in this thing. I'm not letting it go. As far as the story now, he's going to claim asylum. First of all, he's beyond the required 1 year. He's been here longer than that, so he should be able to qualify for asylum. And if the judge rules on the law is about asylum seekers. You got to be escaping fear and persecution from your home government because of race, religion, and political affiliation. Well, he's not going to his home country, right? So he's going to either Uganda or any other country we decide to send him to. What is the evidence that he can present that he's going to be persecuted because of his race, religion, and political affiliation? He's got to present that evidence. He doesn't have that evidence. So if the judge rules on the law, he's gone.
This is why I love Tom Homan, because it's not just emotional, although there's an emotional piece to it. He is so steeped in immigration law. He knows the law cold, and he's always applying his answers to questions or challenges or criticisms by referencing the law. You don't like it? Change it. This is the law. And, the hits keep on coming with trying to clean up the open borders mess that the left created. Story out of Pennsylvania, ICE nabs 24 illegals, including possible MS-13 member. How about this story out of San Diego? The San Diego ICE field director on where they located a convicted child sex offender.
Good morning. I'm Patrick Diver, ICE San Diego's Field Office Director for Enforcement Rule Operations. Today, ICE officers in San Diego arrested an illegal alien from Mexico with a disturbing criminal history. This individual is an unregistered, convicted child sex offender with prior convictions that include possession of a firearm, DUI, domestic violence, brandishing a firearm, battery, assault, robbery, and illegal reentry after removal. He is also a known Logan Heights gang member. At the time of his arrest, this alien was found living inside an active daycare in San Diego with his partner. An alarming situation that underscores the public safety risk posed by individuals just like him. This case highlights exactly why ICE is conducting enforcement operations in San Diego. To remove dangerous criminals who threaten our communities, our children, and put public safety at risk.
And ICE, they're the bad guys, according to the left. They're Gestapo. Really? Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to our friend Chadwick Moore from New York Times. It is now 8 a.m. on AM 560, WIND, Chicago. And don't forget, Open Mic Friday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour.
Families have their say. I'm Daria Albinger, Fox News. We are hearing for the first time from the families of two of the victims in this week's deadly shooting at a Catholic school in Minnesota. Fox's Nate Foy is there.
Two kids who were killed, an 8-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. We are now hearing from the parents publicly for the first time. The 8-year-old boy, Fletcher Merkel, his father showed remarkable strength while speaking yesterday, saying the hole in their hearts and lives will never be filled. And he asked that Fletcher be remembered for the kid he was, not the act that ended his life. Meanwhile, the parents of 10-year-old Harper Moisky told our Fox affiliate, quote, "Our hearts are broken not only as parents, but also for Harper's sister, who adored her big sister and is grieving an unimaginable loss. As a family, we are shattered, and words cannot capture the depth of our pain."
Police say the shooter died by suicide. The FBI is investigating the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and as a hate crime against Catholics. The governor of California is trying something new in order to prevent crime in his state. More from Fox's Madeline Rivera.
California Governor Gavin Newsom defending himself, saying they've always cared about crime and that they're building on earlier initiatives. So the governor is deploying what he calls crime suppression teams from California Highway Patrol. They'll be working with local police in major cities like San Diego, LA, and the San Francisco Bay Area in areas where high crime is an issue. Newsom says they're expanding an effort that began last year in Bakersfield, San Bernardino, and Oakland. LA Mayor Karen Bass is backing Newsom, who insists they're partnering with local law enforcement, unlike what President Trump is doing with the National Guard.
Newsom says the efforts have shown so far they do work, going on to say that they've led to the recovery of nearly 6,000 stolen vehicles and the seizure of 400 firearms since last year. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 63 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The White House says the governor of Illinois should ask for help with crime in Chicago.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Chicago's crime rate is Governor J.B. Pritzker's legacy.
We've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ.
President Trump has talked about possibly conducting a similar crime crackdown in Chicago like the one in Washington, D.C. Leavitt touted the D.C. crackdown, saying violent crime and carjackings are way down since Trump's efforts started. In a Truth Social post about Chicago crime, Trump said, "Stay tuned." I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Chicago Board of Education is signing off on Chicago Public Schools' 2025-2026 budget. Board member Carlos Riviera was excited about the school board voting 12-7 to approve a spending plan that closes a $734 million deficit.
School will be in session tomorrow. School will be in session after Labor Day. So it's a really joyous occasion for us. And I think the most important thing is that elected members stood together today to ensure that the voice of the people of Chicago, we were elected by the people of Chicago.
The budget includes $300 million in cuts and skips a $175 million pension payment for city employees unless CPS receives extra revenue from the state or city. It does not include taking out a $200 million high-interest loan pushed by Mayor Johnson. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to the latest reading on inflation, the PCE price index for July. Caterpillar says tariffs will have a $1.5 to $1.8 billion impact on its finances this year, more than its initial estimate. The construction and mining machinery maker says it's taking steps to offset new costs, including expanding its U.S. workforce by 29%. Petco is boosting its earnings outlook and made a profit in the recent quarter. Its forecast assumes U.S. tariffs on imports from China and other countries will stay at or current planned levels. And Ulta Beauty says its sales and profit rose in recent months. Its customers continue to prioritize beauty and wellness products. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda. Invested in you.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
The delivery of aid into Gaza, that there is a lot of human suffering there, but we have to remember the origin of the human suffering is not the nation of Israel. It is Hamas and the terrorists who attacked Israel without mercy.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Millions are choosing NordVPN to stay safer online. Get NordVPN today with 77% off and up to 3 months extra. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic and help you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. Get the special NordVPN deal today at nordvpn.com. This offer includes a 77% discount on a 2-year plan and up to 3 extra months. Savings and additional terms apply and can be found on nordvpn.com. The offer is valid until October 15th.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active-duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest Radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now. 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, about 26 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 35 minutes. Outbound's about 22 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 40 minutes. Outbound is 20 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 22 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. On the Dan Ryan Express lanes inbound from Marquette to the Stevenson, about 10 minutes. And on the Chicago Skyway eastbound from the Dan Ryan to the Indiana State Line, 4 minutes. On the westbound side, it's about 6 minutes. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be pleasant and less humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 70. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expect mostly sunny skies and pleasant weather, marking a comfortable start to the holiday weekend. The high temperature will be 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and I guess this is what they're going with. Trump is a dictator, and our value proposition as a party is that we're not Trump. Okay. Defining yourself in the negative. It doesn't usually work. Yeah, you try to make elections referenda on the incumbents, but for a lame duck president to be your boogeyman, we're not Trump, it's just not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough, particularly with a party that is beset by its own internal struggles. And but by the way, this isn't like me just inventing this because I want it to be true. The data supports it. You know, Harry Enton over at CNN is jumping around, pointing to numbers a couple days a week, talking about the free fall that that party is in because this is all they have. But Gavin Newsom is sticking with it. Governor Patrick Bateman out there, California, in a wide-ranging sit-down with Politico. Gavin Newsom resurrected this old canard. You got to have the Trump as a dictator. You got to have, a fresh or maybe even a stale take on it. The dictator, right? Because remember how he was a dictator. He federalized the National Guard, sent the National Guard to California. That was dictatorial. Except Gavin Newsom challenged that action in court, and the president won in court because he was sending the National Guard to enforce federal immigration law, aid in the enforcement of federal immigration law. ICE and the National Guard. So that was litigated in a court of law. And you lost. That's what a dictator does? No, but he's going to stay. You really think he's leaving in 28?
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want... I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
No, don't give me. You don't. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house? This is serious, guys. This is serious.
So it'll be Newsom Trump in 28.
No,
It's not serious.
This guy doesn't believe in free, fair elections. He tried to wreck this country. What were you there, January 6th? I think Fox was. At least they were in a lawsuit. They seem to have lost any memory of that. Shareholders didn't. I mean, he tried to light democracy on fire. He dialed for 11, almost 12,000 votes. Now he's doing it in plain sight. And people say, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. People actually think this guy's serious about having another election? You think he's joking about 2028? You think when he brings foreign leaders to the Oval Office and he goes to the White House store, have you seen this? Anyone? Is it just me? And he shows them the 2028 hats. He's not being serious. Wake up. You will lose your country.
Is it just you? It's not just you, but it's a insular group that you're part of, right? Because remember how Trump suspended the midterm elections in 2018? Because the same people are saying the same things then. And then remember when he suspended the presidential election in 2020? Because the same people are saying the same things then. He shows you a 2028 hat, or supporters send you a 2028 hat to troll you like you trolled Trump, and this is the end of our democracy. It's just, but this just goes to my corollary. Well, actually, my thesis about the left right now, at least, which is, in the positioning for 2028, it is a contest to see who can be the most hysterical, hyperbolic, in the direction of Trump. So Jelly Belly Pritzker in our fair state uses his State of the State address to compare Trump's resurgence to the rise of Hitler. And Newsom is, out there talking about elections will be suspended again. I mean, saying it again. Okay. If that's sort of how you want to frame the race, I'm good with it. Chadwick Moore is New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography of Tucker Carlson. Also senior reporter for news features at the New York Post. His Substack is substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be with you.
Do you agree with my thesis that this is the real contest that is afoot? Whoever is the most irresponsibly vitriolic, makes the most hysterical, unfounded allegations, will win the contest to be the Democrat Party's presidential nominee in 28.
Well, I do, and look at where we are. That like the entire national conversation right now is right versus right. It's infighting on the right. It's the right talking about different views on Israel. It's the right talking about the left is totally out of the conversation, and it shows because they have nothing going on. Nobody cares what they have to say or what they think. So what else are they going to latch onto? They're in such a sticky situation with all of the totally insane, especially cultural issues that they put their weight behind the last 8 years or so. That are completely unpalatable, boys and girls sports, all that kind of stuff. They have no real positions, and they don't really know where to go from here, except for, as you had mentioned, just being the party of anti-Trump, which is what they've always been since he came onto the scene. And it didn't work out well for them last time. Yeah, and the end our democracy and we're going to save our democracy, that dichotomy they attempted in 2024. I can see the point that Kamala Harris wasn't a great candidate, but I would also add that what I'm looking at of the landscape doesn't look much better. So if you're going to come back with a candidate that offers only that, even if they're a little bit more polished than Kamala Harris, I think it's going to end similarly, particularly when it's not going to be Trump on the ballot. It's going to be Vance or Rubio, or Vance and Rubio. And I think, that sort of room temperature response, particularly if they continue to pile up the results in the areas of public safety and economic vitality,
and cultural sanity. I think it's good. I think even the midterms could be problematic for them, despite some of the outcomes in special elections or what may happen in a couple of 2025 gubernatorial races in the East Coast.
And you even have the mayor of D.C., who's pretty warm to what Trump is doing to clean up crime on the streets there, probably much to the anger and frustration of the Democrat Party and her own city council, I believe. That doesn't mean necessarily, obviously, the voters in D.C. feel the same way. But when you have leaders like that are saying, essentially, yes, the city is much safer, and I'm sure that the residents are seeing that as well. The Democrats can't even get on board with basic things like public safety because that's where the Republicans are standing right now. And they aside from being the stealing our democracy or their other arguments, what's going on with their judges? Of course, at the beginning of this year, it was all about these kind of rogue activist judges trying to stop Trump. We don't hear much about that anymore. Maybe they realized that also was not playing well with the public, so they're really completely lost at this point.
Yeah, they're embracing Abrego. This week it was embrace Abrego Garcia, and it was criticize people praying for the victims in Minneapolis, and by the way, ban guns when they already know that ban guns is a dead bang loser, which is why they didn't move to resuscitate the assault weapons ban when they could have. They just like to use it as a rhetorical cudgel. And it just seems to me that this is all sort of trying to provide red meat to their base and maintain some relevance to the conversation, like you were saying. But that is just very narrow. That is a very narrow casted audience.
Oh, and Gavin Newsom is so. I just can't. You had mentioned Kamala obviously was a terrible candidate, but I don't really see a way that any California politician plays well in the swing states, in the Rust Belt, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. The disconnect, it's a different country over there. I don't think anyone relates to Gavin Newsom or really any California politician, because what plays well in California does not play well in the moderate swing state parts of the country that they need to win. And Gavin Newsom, who is running his social media accounts, it's the craziest, most unhinged rants that he's trying something, but it doesn't work because he's not Trump. Only Trump can pull off Trump. He really needs to, if he's serious, and I don't really imagine that he has much of a chance anyway, but he needs to really rethink who's running his comms. He comes off as a sort of lost schizophrenic man-child who doesn't exactly know who he's talking to or what he's doing. He's just sort of trying to counter Trump or imitate Trump in any way that he can. And the statement he had yesterday about or whoever on his social media about the praying was really, really ghastly.
Yeah, it's funny. Schizophrenic is a good word because on the one hand, he launched this podcast and he's going to talk to the other side and he's going to show himself to be, to reasonably disagree, but to hear out the other side's argument on policy issues because, he's a builder of consensus, don't you know? And he's going to work across the aisle to be a solutionist. And then he turns around and he's running around like a raving lunatic. He's got some, Vassar grads running his social media, as you were describing. And then he's talking about Trump, the dictator, who's going to suspend elections in 2028 and, going full sort of, MAGA is a threat to democracy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just mind blowing to watch, and I don't even know where he thinks he's going with this. You summed up very well.
So you're over there at the New York Post. You're in the big city. What's the temperature on Mamdani, and do you see any path to derailing him at this juncture?
I don't, to be honest. It has nothing to do with him being so widely popular. I don't think he is that. He has a very energized base, and they are all out. The question is, did he max out his base in the primary? It looks that way. However, it's a four-way race, and it's going to be split four ways if Cuomo doesn't drop out. But Cuomo's still on the ballot, so it doesn't, and he's got the momentum, he's got the charisma, all these things people say about him. But generally, your average New Yorker doesn't like him. They think he's the crazy socialist and anti-Semite.
But he
you know,
can.
it's
I
gonna come down to-
saw that he could bench 135 pounds with a little help. I saw that. That's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his base is gentrified Brooklyn and Queens. It's people exactly like him. It's Nepo babies. It's people who've never had a job. It's people who, you know, tried to be an internet star and failed, and then decided like maybe I'll just make activism my life. So rich people are already starting to flee New York. I don't know where he thinks he's going to get all this money for his big social programs. The main problem is that the city council is just as, if not more, far left than him. So, you know, we had that kind of counterbalance with Mayor Adams right now, where he's much more moderate. But with Mandami, there's not going to be a lot standing in his way, aside from maybe the state government or President Trump.
You know, the Eric Adams, since you mentioned him, I haven't heard much on this, but what is your political obituary for Eric Adams? What happened? Because, I mean, in the polling I've seen, he's in fourth. He's behind even Sliwa, the Republican. And it seemed like, you know, he started out being identitarian and a bit, boisterous and playing a little bit of the race card and that sort of thing. But then he, you know, as the city was being beset by, for example, illegal immigrants, as you said, he sort of started to moderate his position, sound more reasonable, offer to be more constructive, take help where he can get it. And that included the federal government under Trump because, you know, we need all the help we can get, sort of commonsensical type of position. But he just is like he's in single digits. He has no apparent constituency. What happened?
That's a great question. I mean, one issue is money, and it's not entirely his fault he has no money. The state of New York has this matching program with funds, so all the candidates are getting millions of dollars in taxpayer-funded matching money, except Adams. Adams is not getting the matching money. I'm not exactly sure why. I need to look into that. But so he has no money. He's had some minor scandals, but nothing that, I mean, compared to what New York politicians have been through, nothing that crazy. You know, he got like some free plane tickets or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
I think it mainly comes down to the fact that he scorned the Democrat Party by coming out against about mass immigration. He started saying things they weren't on board with. He's a former cop. So what won him the election last time being, I guess, maybe a black guy who was moderate. Now the sort of far lefties in the Democrat Party have really turned on him because he came out against them. He spoke against the party board, and you do not do that. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's really a commentary on how left that party is. I mean, the new Marxist party, as I'm always talking about, it's a revolutionary Marxist party. And I mean, you know, I know that there's an effort to characterize some of their candidates in swing states like Virginia, like Spanberger, as a moderate, but they're not a moderate to be found. Certainly not in any position of particular importance.
It's true. The way that Adams is talking now, it's very conservative, but that today means, you know, like a Bill Clinton 1990s Democrat, very conservative. And, you know, he actually sounds really good. And he's been like a fine mayor. You know, he wasn't like de Blasio, it was way worse. So it is bizarre. And that's what it is. The party's just so far left. They're just done with anyone who would up against him. And, you know, they probably see him as, you know, too friendly to Trump or to conservatives.
Yeah. They don't mind it when Newsom pretends to befriend conservatives because they know he's lying. So that's okay.
Right. That's true. Very true.
Chadwick Moore, New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography of Tucker Carlson, senior reporter for news features at the New York Post. His Substack, substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And he joins us in the turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
The Matrix bedroom from Penny Mustard is not associated with any major motion picture of the same name.
I think Hollywood was inspired by the Matrix bedroom.
Why do you say that?
The sleek design with angled lines and inset drawers?
Well, it is Penny Mustard's most contemporary bedroom.
You could almost say it's neo-contemporary.
I see what you did there.
The Matrix bedroom with queen panel bed, 10-drawer dresser, landscape mirror, and 3-drawer nightstand, starting at $82.47 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Yes, it is that time of the week, Open Mic Friday, where we take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Take your calls there with comments, compliments, criticisms, concerns, general crack pottery. We'll take it all. But we begin, as we do, with turnkey.pro founder, David Kolsak. David?
Good morning, Dan. How are you today?
Good morning.
Well, every time we see one of these mass casualty events, it's interesting to see how it's covered by the mainstream media versus how real people and alternative news outlets cover the same events. It's almost like there are two different realities. If you go back in your mind to 9/11 on that fateful morning, it seemed like the world had stopped and everyone was glued to their TVs and bouncing from one channel to another looking for any information or more footage or photographs. It was captivating. It was 2001 and we were all collectively hypnotized by the media. At least for me, I did not know of any other outlets at the time where you could find an alternative viewpoint. I'm sure that I was a different person back then, as I believed that the press would report the news faithfully and I could trust it, just like listening to Walter Cronkite back in the day. I also think that back then I believed that the government was totally committed to protecting its people and that they would never want to harm us. As time has gone by and as we see other school shootings, the Las Vegas concert massacre and the like, it's interesting to me that the mainstream media seems to have lost its stranglehold on the American public. Over time, everyone's confidence in them has eroded as they've made themselves less and less credible. I believe this has been accelerating beginning in the year 2015 with the advent of Trump and the fake news. Fast forward to the events of this week, and it's on full display. Today, there are tons of alternative media outlets that didn't really exist a decade ago, and juxtapose that with the mainstream media outlets, and you get a really different story. On one hand, you've got the likes of CNN and MSNBC who shield their audience from some of the facts to make sure their narrative stays intact, as opposed to the normal everyday Americans and alternative news outlets that expose facts and that the mainstream media refuses to relate. And then you've got the Minnesota politicians who point out that they must stand up for the trans community, and anyone who dares admonish them will be scorned. Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Fry are clearly on the record defending the trans community. In fact, as many cities in Minnesota asked their own governor, Tim Walz, for funds to secure their schools, he denied them and instead put tampons in the men's room at every school. His lieutenant governor is seen wearing a shirt that says "Protect Trans Kids." So let me get this straight. The leadership, the highest governance in the state of Minnesota, has been pro-trans for years. They legislate to protect them, and they encourage their kids to change their genders. They say things like, and you mentioned this earlier today, when a child thinks he or she has been born to a gender they reject, we should believe them. We should assist them. So after years of transsexual promotion, they're reaping what they've sown. The news then further spins the hating on trans people is the real hate here. No, the real hate was displayed by the shooter himself. Take a look at his manifesto and the video he put out just 2 hours before he opened fire on innocent children and people through stained glass windows of the Catholic Church, killing and maiming many. The level of hate and anger expressed by this deranged individual is the real hate. Killing innocent people is the real hate. So I would suggest that when people hear the mainstream media protecting the identity, sex, and actions of a deranged satanic killer, they lose credibility. The likes of Jen Psaki or Psaki crying and weeping on television and saying thoughts and prayers aren't enough, that also annoys people. If we wanted your opinion, we'd ask for it. Tell the news and give us the details without holding back. Because not telling the whole truth makes you a liar. People are fed up with being told lies, and I would contend that a large percentage of the population see it. The rest are just lost, and I'm not sure at this point if they'll ever get over their Stockholm syndrome. So my point in all of this is to say that people are moving away from traditional news and information outlets that we've relied upon for years, and they're seeking new alternatives that are more authentic. People like authenticity and hearing it straight. How is it that the likes of Telegram and X have more timely and accurate reporting than CBS and all of them? Why is it that citizen journalists and podcasters get it right and have a better research than the mainstream media? You know, it's amazing, and I bet you continue to see the shift from people watching mainstream media to finding their news on alternative outlets. You know, it's clear that we're in an information war and that the narrative that the mainstream media gets and regurgitates from their overlords is becoming less and less believable day by day. And it's glorious to see it. So enjoy the long weekend.
Thank you so much, David. Enjoy Labor Day weekend as well. Appreciate that. As one of those alternative media outlets. Yes, very good. Okay, taking your calls. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I do want to get to a couple of matters that have not tackled yet, but I've got a golf call. Those always take priority. John in Bridgeport, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, how are you, Dan? Real quick, Supich, these are your Democrats. Are you going to still stick up for them like you did in the years past? You know, prayer doesn't work and all that. I want to hear his comments on all this. Second of all, you're cordially invited to a golf outing. I owe you still. I'm a man that doesn't want to wager or that doesn't want to go back on his wagers. So if you get a chance, put me in with one of your sidekicks over there. I'll let them know, and then you can decide if that's okay.
Okay.
I just hope you shoot better than par. I need you on this one.
Wait. What is this? This a golf outing that you're hosting or something?
It is. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it'll be. But yes.
Where is it? What can you tell me the course?
Of course, it'll be in the Beverly area. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Make sure we grab John from Bridgeport's number. I want to play Bev again. All right.
But go after Supich with this. He's got to speak up with these Democrats saying prayer doesn't work.
Well, he did speak up, and here's what he said, John. Quote, guns are plentiful, and common sense attempts to limit their availability have been largely rejected in the name of a freedom not found in our Constitution. That's what he said. Any comment on trans? Any comment on prayer? No comments. Just guns. There's Supich.
He sucks.
Yeah, he really does. Thanks for the call, John. Appreciate it. Look forward to teeing it up. All right. Got one golf invite out of this. It's good. Glenn in Orlando.
Yeah, hey, Dan. Hope you have everybody has a good Labor Day weekend. So I was just thinking about all these people that talk about root cause of crime. You know, one thing they never talk about on root cause is leniency. Ever notice that?
Yes, they do not talk about that because they're pro-leniency. Thanks for the call. I mean, they want to talk about root causes because they want to be like, we're prevention. You know, we're getting at the source to prevent the crimes before they happen by getting to the root causes of crime. But it's just a veneer to fund expansive government. And it's a crutch, a rationalization for leniency. Well, you don't know, he came from this deprived neighborhood. Well, okay, what about all the other people from that same deprived neighborhood that follow the law? Well, I don't want to talk about that. We have a systemic problem. We have arrest rates that indicate systemic racism, incarceration rates that indicate systemic racism. Somebody gets charged and sentenced differently for similar crimes, so that's racist. So we have to be more lenient. So we have to let a guy who is charged with first-degree murder in St. Louis out with $5,000 bond. I mean, are you kidding? But that's their racket. That's the game they're playing. Lucy in Lowell, Indiana.
The problem with the illegal truck drivers. Most of these illegals that are coming in are military-age men, and we've got, 2 million of them illegals across the United States. But also, do you remember how the Ukrainians brought semi-truck trailer containers into Russia, and from those semi-truck containers, they had missiles that could come out, and they destroyed a lot of their aircraft? Okay. We've got illegals pulling semi-trailer containers around the United States. How many of those are filled with missiles, perhaps?
Okay, Luce. I mean, I'm not so sure about surface-to-air missiles because somebody gets hired by a trucking company that shouldn't have been. But on the larger issue, it is worth noting that after that terrible crash on the Florida Turnpike, where that illegal immigrant from India made an illegal U-turn and killed 3 people, charged with 3 counts of vehicular manslaughter.
And it was revealed that on testing for his licenses, he could only identify like 2 of 12 traffic signs and so forth. So he wasn't proficient in English. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, announced that California, Washington, and New Mexico, which were the 3 states that moved this guy along, he entered illegally in California, and then he got licensure in Washington and New Mexico, that those 3 states have 30 days to come into compliance with enforcement of ELP requirements, which is English language proficiency requirements for commercial vehicle drivers. If they don't comply, the DOT will withhold up to 100% of funding from the Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program to those states. I mean, there's a lot of threatening and ostensibly defunding of these state and local governments for violations of federal law. So that's a start. I mean, it's not the whole answer, but it is a start. It is on the Trump administration's radar. They are taking material steps to impose consequences, not as comprehensive as I think we'd like. You need real system change when it comes to some of these things, like, E-Verify, perhaps at some point when it is, it has a very low error rate. I mean, I keep hearing that. I'm not certain what the error rate is, but when it is comprehensive enough, reliable enough, that should be mandated as opposed to just something that employers can access. These are the conversations that I think are being generated after that crash on the Florida Turnpike. And so there is something positive coming out of that tragedy. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, 3 things real quick. Newsom ought to go to jail like Ryan did. But you were talking earlier about the out on bond. Did you read that story about the one in he killed the guy in Olive Gardens over there? He was a felon with a gun. He had over 100 pounds of weed on him, and he walked out of there just by signing his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
welcome to the Safety Act state, right?
Yeah. The last thing is, how much does crime cost? I'm looking here, anywhere between $690 billion and $3.4 trillion a year in the United States. So that's why Pritzker and BJ don't want to, because if the crime comes down, they're not going to make no money. Everybody makes money off these murders.
All right, thanks for the call, Larry. Eduardo in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Dan, I won't be able to get a chance to talk next week because I'll be doing a special election for a city councilwoman that died.
Okay.
Thomas Scott is the leader right now as far as fundraising. He's also a pastor. He's been in public service 14 years, so that's probably the person that's going to win.
Okay, you're our man in Tampa Bay. Thanks, Eduardo.
I know, yeah. I'll report next week or in the 2 weeks. Okay.
Good luck. Thank you. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Great show as usual.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On the lighter side, there's a car race called the Indy 500. There's lesser ones with 400-mile races, and I saw one that reflects why the world is in trouble now. The Coke, nothing against the Coke company or Zero Sugar, but the Coke Zero Sugar 400. What is this world coming to? That's it. Have a great weekend.
The Coke Zero Sugar 400. Okay. Speaking of which, Cracker Barrel, which was in the news this week, having relented on their rebrand after it was going so well, according to that CEO, Messino, Julie Fless-Messino. It's going great, nothing but positive feedback. And within a week, they did an about face on the new logo and the rebranding. This was fun. A local affiliate in Nashville caught up with Tommy Lowe, who is the co-founder of Cracker Barrel. Just talking about, corporate branding. Since you brought it up, it's a way for me to get this in. Tommy Lowe, 93 years old, the co-founder of Cracker Barrel, had this to say about that failed attempted rebrand.
Logo rolled out the other day.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nothing. That's a bland nothing. It's pitiful.
Do you think she knows the story of Cracker Barrel?
I don't think so. I heard she was a Taco Bell, but what's Taco Bell know about a Cracker Barrel? and country food. And the food is something that you need to work on. Spending $700 million to do that is all I've been doing. I'm just throwing money out the street.
Sounds like Tommy Lowe needs to retake the reins over there. Did they really spend $700 million on that rebrand? I guess when you start to include redesigning the Cracker Barrel stores, I guess what the expenses add up, $700 million. Holy cow! What a catastrophe! And now too, now because they're under the microscope. Now they're having to do all kinds of other things too. They took their LGBTQIA2S++++ promotion page down, and now people are like, look at what is going on with Cracker Barrel. They're seeing this. I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. The worm has turned. Ron, Southside.
Hey, Dan, two things. This week it was reported in the Sun-Times. It was 12 senior citizens' homes have been burglarized. Okay, well, why don't they interview them and ask them what do they think about the trucks, the troops come, instead of interviewing these thug gangbangers talking about we need some more crisis intervention money. Interview them. But more importantly, you mentioned that disgusting piece of phony Flager. He's against crime, except when he can suck up to a scumbag that he perceives as having the power. He sent a letter of support for Jay Doherty like he did for Burke. And I'm going to paraphrase what he said. Well, I haven't observed or known him to do anything inappropriate wrong. Well, look here. Yeah. Dan, I've been waiting to get to you this about. I've been waiting to get you this about this. But you know what?
That's not the Ed Burke I know, Ron. That's not the Ed Burke I know.
But you know what? Guess what? Hey, phony, no good Flager. It doesn't matter what you think. You weren't on the jury, thank God, and you're not a judge. You just, and you know what, Dan? He's the worst. Like he said, I'm Mr. Righteous, I'm against crime. Yeah, but then you want to go and suck up to people you think you have power. You phony piece of garbage. Have a good weekend, Dan.
Thanks, Ron. You too. Yep. That's not the Mike Madigan I know. That's not the George Ryan I know. That's not the Rob Blagojevich I know. Yeah. Nobody knows anything bad about these politicians. I mean, except the people they lord over that actually feel the brunt of it. But the people that are in the kleptocracy. That's not the guy I know. No, of course not. No. Never seen him do a bad thing. What about all his, corporal works of mercy? Sure. Right. Like you have to be paying real close attention to know that Madigan and Burke, just to use two examples, spent 50 years grifting their way to millions and lording over the state and destroying it in the process. And destroying the Cook County judiciary in the process, too. Right. But you don't know anything about that. Nobody does. Okay. Greg in LaGrange.
Hi, good morning, Dan. I just wanted to comment on your interview with LaShawn Ford yesterday.
Yeah.
And the lengths that people will go to just absolutely deny the obvious to follow political ideology. This city has become a total unlivable environment, from the culture to the educational value that the children get, to the lack of protection that regular citizens get on the street at the expense of illegal aliens. It's unbelievable to me that any person in leadership wouldn't want to see, at least at a minimum, the personal safety of the citizens of this country and those that own property and conduct business in this city to have protection and have every advantage to take advantage of hiring people in the city to improve it overall. But the lengths that people will go to protect
a twisted and warped ideology. Look at what Governor Pritzker did to our children during COVID. Look what he did with the lockdowns, with the executive orders. And he talks about dictatorships. This is an absolute example of how a society can crumble right before your eyes. And I hope people start to take notice, because it's going to take a long time to fix. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Yeah. And he even mentioned the cost of the city, too. And of Illinois, just in general. Yeah, I said yesterday, look, LaShawn, I like LaShawn. Obviously, I disagree with him. We had a spirited exchange, and we often do. And I respect him for, he's running, he's a black state rep from the West Side. He's running for Danny Davis' seat. He doesn't have to come on this show. I mean, he can just stay in his silo and he'll be fine politically. So he doesn't have to come on this show and take risks and actually engage people in a substantive conversation. And he does. And so I respect that. He's actually, maybe we can have a knockdown drag out over the substance of the issue, with whether it's the National Guard or other issues. That's how it should be. But at least he's, man enough, frankly, to go toe to toe with me. He's and courteous enough to engage people he knows, generally speaking, when he comes on this show, are going to disagree with him. So, I mean, he's a good example in many ways, even though he's not quite home on some of these issues, in my view, of course. Because if I could do shows that were dominated by the left and go back and forth so people hear ideas side by side, I'd do it. But most of them won't come on because they're incapable of defending themselves, as you see. And so everybody's in their silos. But that's not the show I want to do. It's just largely the show. I mean, to some extent, you have to start from the same premises to have a substantive, important, informative, useful conversation. If you're starting from the premise of communism and I'm starting over here, free minds and free markets, then we're not going to get very far. But I mean, I think LaShawn and I are starting from a lot of the same premises, which makes conversation spirited, but not counterproductive. So there's that piece of it. There's that piece of it. I mean, we should be able to have, and we could do it on this show, we should be able to have like firing line type discussions. But those who disagree with me and other conservatives, it's not just me, but it's kind of just me, are afraid to come on. And that's what it is. They're afraid to come on. They're defenseless. They are, apparatchiks, repeating talking points, getting away with the pretense of knowledge, who are thoughtless goons and mooks and toadies for this corrupt political establishment. And that includes a lot of the Republicans, too, the so-called Republicans. They share the fear. So, I mean, LaShawn Ford is better than most of the Republicans in the House and the Senate in this state in terms of engaging in substantive discussions. Consider that statement. Bill, Southside.
Hi, Dan. I'm from St. Thomas More Parish. It was recently closed in May as a parish and kept open as a spirituality center, mainly for African Americans and African immigrants. Now, the Spirituality Center is not open to the public. They have retreats on specialized occasions from people from outside of the area. We're right next to the Beverly area. The people that live here are largely African American, but many Hispanics are moving in, and white people are still here. We want to get into the parish to pray, just to have pray and to have devotional Catholic services. The deacon who is in charge will not let us into the church to pray. How does a deacon from a Catholic church not let his people in to pray?
Are you saying that the spiritual center there is blacks only?
Well, the letter from the Vicar General, Bishop Sullivan, said the church will not be sold as of now. It will keep kept open as a spirituality center for, I'm quoting, African Americans and African diaspora. Now, what does that mean?
Only.
Well, that's the edict. Now, he will say all are welcome, but that's the edict that came from the diocese, that this spirituality center will be kept open mainly, doesn't even say mainly, it's open as a spirituality center for African Americans and African diaspora. Now, there are many African Americans who went to that church, and traditional Catholics want to get in to pray. They won't give us a priest, even though our retired pastor, Father Branken, said, I'll come out of retirement and work for free and be your pastor. They said, no, the church is being closed as a church, but it will be kept open as a spirituality center. And our question is, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, can you ask them, like, so are you opposed to, like, blacks and whites being in communion with one another, praying together? Is that I mean, is that what I'm hearing? I don't know.
I'm sure they'll say all of you are welcome, but we're not planning anything for all of you. We're planning for African Americans and African diaspora. And we don't know what that means. They had a retreat from a East Side parish come over here to discuss the Bible from different locations. They're having some sort of a thing on home problems in the home. That's coming up. But there's like 2 or 3 occasions that are being planned over the last 3 months. We can't get in to pray. And there are people in the area that want to pray. It's a beautiful church right near the Beverly area.
Huh.
Fantastic-looking church that's not open for Catholic worship unless
you're from Africa or the African diaspora.
Yeah.
You're black or from the African diaspora. Got it.
Yeah, we just can't figure it out. We don't know why a Catholic church wouldn't be saying, oh, well, that's great. Let's invite everybody in because we're Catholic and we want them to learn about the Catholic religion. They don't want us in that church.
That's wild. Thanks for the call, Bill, and noticing that up. I mean, I remember Monsignor Bolin, his great answer about, St. Benedict the African, a Catholic school in Inglewood, and the question about, do you have to be Catholic to go to Catholic school? And his point was, we don't teach, how did he phrase it? I don't want to mistake what he said. We don't do this because they're Catholic, educate children. We do this because we're Catholic. And so it's open. We're in the business of educating children because that's what we're called to do as Catholics, whether the child is Catholic or not. Mm-hmm. Okay. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Maybe they'll dust off the Irish need not apply signs.
Yeah, right.
From a very long time ago. I was going to comment on the reaction to the thoughts and prayers. Is it exposed the divide between, as Tom Roser used to call, the wine and cheese crowd up on the north side, and then the working class Democrats on the south side. And this is an opportunity for Republicans to exploit that and to try to pick up some of these Democrats that are turned off by the awful in general.
Yeah, good call. Good point, Kevin. It's basically the godless versus the God-fearing. And people didn't hear it before, but I mean, this is such a beautifully stated response to the godless left. And it's from our friend Dawn from Naperville, who's a regular caller, and we got some texts about it. People wanted to hear it again. They want a transcript of it. I mean, this is just wonderfully stated. Dawn in Naperville.
The most important thing in life is understanding who God is and who you are in his eyes. And when we pray, it's inviting God in. It's admitting, Lord, I don't know what to do, but I know that you do. I know that you see the hearts of people. And when Jesus was here, he said, behold, I send you out like sheep among wolves. That is the reality of life. We are among wolves. And we're not supposed to be naive, and we're not supposed to be foolish. We're supposed to be wise. And with all due respect, Jackie, without God's wisdom, we don't know what to do. So that's what prayer is. It's admitting that we don't have control, but God does, but understanding that we live in an evil world. It's humility. And you know what? God says, I hate pride and arrogance. It says that in Proverbs. That's the most important book anybody can read in Scripture. It's Proverbs. And he says that we're supposed to love the Lord, but also hate what he hates. So that is the whole point. And we do need to pray for these families and wrap our arms around them. But we need to seek God's wisdom. We're a country that's in mourning. And we need to open up our eyes to the warnings that are before us that God is giving to us.
Very well said, Dawn. Thank you for the call. Really well said. Mm-hmm. Rich in Indian Head Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. What I wanted to say is a lot of the blame has to go with to society and to the parents about these transgender kids, because they don't take the time to find out why they feel this way. They just go ahead and let them go along whatever the way they feel, and they go ahead and give them drugs and alter the way they look. And I think that is the biggest problem that we have today. We have to find out mentally why they feel this way, because as they get older and they start realizing the way they feel, they either have a resentment or they lash out at something like what happened in Minnesota there. So I think that's a big problem.
Thanks for the call, Rich. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, from his manifesto, the Minneapolis shooter. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. The 23-year-old apparently felt different than the 16 or 17-year-old. Chuck in Delavan to close it out.
Hey, how you doing? Big weekend. Get over there to the Abbey and see the D-Like Duo. I'm having a problem with them making these truck drivers read Cat in the Hat. I believe that they should be making them read Green Eggs and Ham. Much better read. You guys have a great weekend.
Okay, Chuck, with a unique take on the English requirements for truck drivers. Very good, as always, Chuck. Thank you all for joining us, for calling in, for sharing the week that was with us here at Chicago's Morning Answer. Have a great Labor Day weekend. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Cutting the Harris cord. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News.